Chapter 1950. The dragon roamed the world, dominating the world. The golden sky dragon's body was intimidating. Its dragon might shook the heavens, and its body was 100,000 feet long. It spat out clouds and mist, and its divine might was vast. The king of Tian Shan, whose body was already in pieces, cried out in despair. What kind of monster was this? Didn't he just enter the Technique Inheritance Hall 2 days ago? He actually cultivated the supreme dragon wrestling technique. The geniuses who had originally belittled Su Yin were also frightened. They found it hard to imagine that this was the power of a Daesong. The king of Tian Shan was about to die. His body was crippled, and his body was in pieces. The supreme dragon wrestling technique was a matchless body art. Even though Su Yin hadn't touched the 3rd level yet, he had already used 2 levels to cultivate it. However, just by relying on the 2nd layer of the supreme fighting dragon technique, he was able to unleash a murderous aura. The golden dragon body pounced forward, as if a prehistoric monster had just been born, charging toward the place where the heavenly Thunder King was cultivating. Heavens, they were incredibly alarmed. What was this vicious person trying to do? He challenged the Tenrai of Beach and directly came knocking on his door. This was a serious protest against the 10 great war gods set by the Immortal Elder Academy. He would speak with his strength, domineering to domineering. The Tiangang King was excited. He felt that following Su Yin was the right decision. He cultivated the supreme dragon wrestling technique in 2 days. What kind of talent was this? It was simply unimaginable, as expected of a peak talent who walked the path of body cultivation. Roar, dragon roars rang out, and the heaviness was like thunder that filled the sky. The 100,000 feet long dragon charged toward its destination. The world trembled. Lightning radiance surged. It was clear that an intense energy fluctuation had taken place. The effects were great. Just as the golden sky dragon was about to charge toward a giant silver mountain, it shone and went berserk. Boom! The sky was filled with lightning symbols. The giant silver mountain changed, turning into a lightning abyss. Resplendent lightning symbols flickered. It was so terrifying that it had to be traced back to the origin of a lightning path. This golden sky dragon was almost instantly blasted into pieces. Moreover, the lightning mountain continued to operate, spewing out a terrifying source, making the stars in the sky about to explode. One had to know that the resplendent star regions where the Emperor stars rose and fell all contained the protection of immortal king orders. Now that the lightning mountain shook the world, one could imagine just how powerful its divine might was. Who is attacking the innate lightning cavern? Many experts cried out in alarm. This was the Emperor Star's unmatched cave, one that belonged exclusively to Thunder Immortal Elder's bloodline, as well as a forbidden land. There was also silent silver lightning that was awakening, wishing to release millions and millions of lightning bolts. Who was this kid? Large amounts of experts walked out from Emperor Star's mountain gates. There were also many enforcers and attendants from Immortal Elder Academy. There were even some Immortal Elders who were alarmed. Get out here! Su Yin was majestic and overbearing. His body was golden and dazzling, like an immortal sun in the sky. He had a domineering aura and stood between the heavens and the earth. He roared, "Thunder King, stop hiding. Come out." Su Yan's roar was like thunder. Even his flesh and blood erupted, and an azure dragon rushed out from the top of his head. It lay between heaven and earth, as if it was going to pierce through the heavens. The older generation's faces were filled with shock. A Daesong was actually able to emit such a terrifying manifestation of a human body. Some people suspected that the heavenly power king had come out of seclusion, but just what had made him so angry? King of Tian Shan, who did this? Quick! The king of Tian Shan is about to fall. A large group of elders rushed over and saw the king of Tian Shan in pieces, about to die. The surrounding people were frightened, almost dying. Could it be that Su Yin was really so terrifying that he stood at the peak of his generation? Someone came to report. The group of elders were shocked. It was Su Yin who did it. This person was now going to fight the Tenrai of Beach. Interesting. Su Yin, heaven's equal saint king. An extremely old man's heart was in turmoil. How many eras had passed? The Immortal Cave rarely produced such an invincible overlord anymore. He even dared to barge into Thunder Immortal Elder's unmatched cave. One had to admit that this person had the belief of being invincible. Bastard, who dares to behave so atrociously here? A large group of experts rushed out from the mountains near the innate lightning cavern. They were all shocked and furious. They all glared at Su Yan. Who gave this Daesong the guts? Su Yan, how dare you? Are you rebelling? An old man with silver hair said with a gloomy face. So what if I'm rebelling? Su Yan's black hair fluttered in the wind. His essence, chi, and spirit shot to the sky. He stepped in the void and shouted coldly, "Tell the Tenrai of Beach to come out. He's just a piece of trash who climbed the first mountain. What right does he have to replace me in the war of deities and demons?" His words were like thunder, shaking 10 Square World. Many people were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Su Yan to come here directly and call the Tenrai of Beach a piece of trash. You're full of nonsense. I think you really want to rebel. You don't deserve to be on the same level as the Tenrai of Beach. This bloodline's experts were furious. Calling the Tenrai of Beach a piece of trash? This made them all go crazy. There were even some who directly stood out to suppress Su Yan. This old one surpassed the Tenrai of Beach and dominated the first mountain. Who doesn't know this? Who doesn't know this? Su Yan's words were like thunder, sweeping through the mountains and rivers. He shouted coldly, "What right does the Tenrai of Beach have to compete with me? What right does he have to replace me? Is the document Immortal Elder Academy gave a piece of empty paper? You must give me an explanation today." Su Yan brought out the domain-suppressing furnace in his fury. This immortal king weapon erupted, almost unable to hold itself back from attacking the innate lightning cavern. "Give you an explanation? Who do you think you are? You dare question Immortal Elder Academy's decision?" The silver-haired elder was furious. He was Lei Hongbao, someone who also held an important position in Immortal Elder Academy. He mocked, "The 10 great competitors have already been determined. Not giving you a spot means that you're not good enough. Why are you still causing trouble here? Do you even have the qualifications?" "You don't need to know if I have the qualifications or not. Just tell the Tenrai of Beach to get the hell out here." Su Yan's aura devoured rivers and mountains, his heroic bearing blazing. Cold lightning shot out from his pupils, directly declaring war. "What a youngster. Your tone really is arrogant. Do you think you can challenge him just because you want to? The Tenrai of Beach is currently in seclusion. He doesn't have the time to pay you any attention." Lei Hongbao's expression was furious. Su Yan actually dared to challenge the Tenrai of Beach? Where exactly did he get the confidence from? "What do you mean he doesn't have the time?" The old monkey stood out and said coldly, "Several years ago, Immortal Elder Academy gave out a document stating that the top 3 of the first mountain could participate in the Immortal Devil Great Battle. Su Yan came out first, so even if Immortal Elder Academy doesn't recognize the document, what does the Tenrai of Beach count for?" Immortal Cave erupted into chaos. Some people agreed with the old monkey's words. After all, Su Yan should be given an explanation for this matter. A battle wasn't a big deal. I knew you guys would back him up. Otherwise, Su Yan wouldn't dare to behave so atrociously here. Lei Hongbao's expression was cold. He looked at the old monkey and quickly calmed down. He said proudly, "When the Tenrai of Beach ascended the mountain, he didn't stand at the peak of Daesong. After all, the Tenrai of Beach had just finished his Dao demonstration and started to recultivate from the first heaven of Daesong. Is this answer enough? Why don't you just brag that the Tenrai of Beach went to the first mountain from the first heaven of Daesong?" Bao Kai said angrily. This old thing didn't even point out the Tenrai of Beach's cultivation. What a joke. Are you deaf? Lei Hongbao shouted angrily. Is the Dao demonstration not enough? Look at the entire Immortal Cave. How many heavenly talents and overlords have performed Dao demonstration? But the Tenrai of Beach performed Dao demonstration. Could it be that he can't compare to Su Yan? Of course. Lei Hongbao said disdainfully. You guys don't know what Dao demonstration is either. Some of the terrifying creatures in the surroundings fell silent. When the Immortal Elder Institute was deciding the final quota, they were also hesitant. After all, if they gave the Tenrai of Beach the spot, Su Yan would definitely be disappointed. However, if they gave it to Su Yan, the Thunder Immortal Elder wouldn't be happy. In the end, The Thunder Immortal Elder said that the Tenrai of Beach performed Tao demonstration and directly announced that this legend was true. It was because of this that they directly gave the Tenrai of Beach the quota and treated him as a main member. After all, Tao demonstration was too difficult. There was a saying that was correct. The number of people who could reach this step in the Immortal Cave could be counted with one's fingers. Boom! Suyin stepped on the sky. His entire body emitted a bone-chilling coldness. He said angrily, "Old thing, stop blabbering here. We'll know how strong the Tenrai of Beach is after we fight. Don't boast too much when the time comes." "Junior, you are too rude." Lei Hongbao was so angry that his face turned ashen. His aura went berserk as he said angrily, "I've said it before. The Tenrai of Beach cultivation has reached a critical juncture. He must stand at the peak of Daesong before the immortal demon Great War starts and face the experts of the Dark World. How can I let your little selfishness ruin the immortal world's most important matter? Ridiculous. Why don't you guys say that the Tenrai of Beach is already unrivaled under the heavens? Without him, the immortal world will definitely lose in the immortal demon Great War." Su Yan was furious. A mere Tenrai of Beach was already so terrifying that it affected the immortal demon Great War? "Su Yan, can you shut up?" A hot-tempered expert of the Tenrai of Beach stood up and reprimanded. "If it weren't for the Tenrai of Beach seclusion, you wouldn't be allowed to behave so atrociously here. After all, this concerns the immortal demon Great War. How can you ruin it just to satisfy your selfishness? This is ridiculous. I, Su Yan, risked my life to participate in the immortal demon Great War, and now I have my own selfishness." Su Yan looked up and laughed angrily. "What first mountain? What rules? It's just a joke. How dare you?" A series of experts roared. They were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. Some of the immortal elders frowned. If Su Yan's word were spread, it would have a great impact on the immortal cave. However, Su Yan had reason and evidence, and they could not refute him. The Chaos Immortal Elder came and said calmly, "Su Yan has suffered too much. It's reasonable for the Tenrai of Beach to stand up and give an explanation. If you think Su Yan is not qualified, I'll go and ask him to come out of seclusion." No, Lei Hongbao was anxious. He naturally did not dare to ignore the Chaos Immortal Elder. He had already sworn that the Tenrai of Beach was really in seclusion and had reached the most critical moment of his cultivation. He could not be disturbed. If that's the case, the Chaos Immortal Elder looked at Su Yan and sighed in his heart. He said, "The challenge is set for half a year later. There's still a year before the immortal demon Great War begins. Su Yan, what do you think?" Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were cold. He was angry. He could not wait. The next year was very important to him, and he could not be affected by any factors. "Not bad, Su Yan. Wait for half a year. By then, you'll be convinced of your defeat. How can the Tenrai of Beach avoid the challenge? That's the biggest joke in the world. Su Yan, you're too narrow-minded. After all, it's related to the immortal demon Great War. If you're not strong enough, you'll only embarrass the immortal world." Lei Hongbao's expression was cold. He said, "Su Yan, you're from the human world. Most likely, you haven't come into contact with many peerless supreme techniques. I think you should use the remaining time to cultivate diligently. Try to master a supreme technique that can control the situation before you fight with the Tenrai of Beach." His words were full of disdain. He looked down on the human world. Even during the strongest era of the burial cave, he did not think that it could be compared to the immortal cave. "Shut up." The Chaos Immortal Elder was a little angry. These people were so overbearing. Did they really think that the Tenrai of Beach was invincible? Bao Kai was so angry that his whole body was shaking. He wanted to say that Su Yan had also finished his Tao demonstration and even broke through the ultimate trial ground. How could the little Tenrai of Beach be on par with him? The surroundings were quiet. Su Yan left, but his murderous aura did not dissipate at all. It was still so strong and terrifying, causing the world to turn red. Lei Hongbao smiled coldly. With Su Yan in such a state, it would be difficult for him to cultivate in peace, let alone comprehend supreme techniques. What is he doing? Some people were stunned as they saw Su Yan increasing his speed. Celestial Dragon World. He's going to the celestial dragon world. Someone exclaimed. This was one of the most difficult checkpoints in the immortal cave, and Su Yin had passed through directly. The Tiandao king also came. He looked from afar for a while, shook his head, and said, "He's just asking for humiliation." It seems that this person from the lower realm is eager to be recognized by the immortal world's experts. FPZW. Chapter 1951. The Holy Maiden's clothes fluttered in the wind, holy and otherworldly. She frowned slightly, feeling a little uncomfortable with Heavenly Tao King's lower realm title. Although the human realm couldn't do much in the three realms and could be called a lower realm, it was actually a type of contempt and belittlement. What Heavenly Tao King didn't know was that the destruction of the human realm was a heavy blow to the immortal realm. She stared at Su Yan's disappearing figure, really hoping that he could break through and prove his strength. Celestial Dragon Realm's 10 great true dragons. Heavenly Tao King thought back to when he roamed around back then. It could be said that he suffered a lot. He shook his head and said, breaking through in this state and situation, once he fails, he is destined to become a laughingstock. At that time, Su Yin won't have the face to stay in Immortal Cave. Junior sister, I think you should persuade him. Even if Su Yin really breaks through, Immortal Elder Academy won't continue the ranking for a third time. Heavenly Tao King, Su Yin isn't as bad as you think. Back then, in the human realm, he reigned supreme in the Emperor Road, rising up in a short 100 years. His growth history is astonishing. The Holy Maiden spoke up for Su Yin. She also understood a bit about Su Yan's temper. Since he couldn't bear it anymore, why should he? She was looking forward to Su Yin pushing down the Tenrai of Beaks, ranking in Celestial Dragon Realm. Heavenly Tao King snorted. Lower Realm? Emperor Road? What kind of genius could walk out of the human realm that had already become a ruined land? Could the Earth Overlord still turn the tide when he ascended to the immortal realm and maintain his glorious achievements in the lower realm? How was this possible? The fastest record holder in Celestial Dragon Realm was the Empress. She only used a day. This record was very frightening. No one could break it for a long time. Back then, even the Heavenly Dragon Lady broke through it. In terms of time, she was a bit slower than the Empress, but the difference was extremely limited. Under normal circumstances, breaking through Celestial Dragon Realm was already very impressive, let alone breaking the record. Moreover, the Empress record had been left behind for a long time, and no one could break it until now. This was enough to prove the height that the Empress and the others were at. It was too glorious. When the Tiandao monarch saw how worried the Holy Maiden was, his face darkened. The relationship between Su Yin and her was not simple. The Heavenly Tao King could not tolerate this. His gaze was slightly cold, and he felt that his head was turning green. Su Yin, there is a chance of death in this trial. You have to think carefully. The green-robed old man who was in charge of maintaining the Celestial Dragon Realm warned Su Yin that he only had 3 days. Once the time was up, even if he passed the trial, he would be listed as a failure. Su Yan's gaze was fixed on a huge stone tablet, which was filled with densely packed names. The time limit of the Celestial Dragon Realm was too harsh. Many geniuses of the deity's grotto in the past had made it through, but failed because the time was up. However, even if he failed, his name was still qualified to be listed on the Celestial Dragon Realm stone tablet, and Tian Gang King was no exception. There were at least 100,000 names on it. One could imagine how many people with powerful physical bodies the deity's grotto had absorbed over the years. Only the most dazzling names on the stone tablet were for people like the Holy Maiden. Su Yin even saw the barbarian god, who was ranked 3rd. However, this was not the barbarian god of this generation from the wild wilderness's monarch race. He should be a legendary overlord of the race who had opened a battle to become a monarch. The Holy Maiden, Heavenly Dragon Maiden, and Barbarian God, these 3 experts were the strongest in the deity's grotto. Their rankings were not far apart, only an hour apart. Su Yan's heart skipped a beat. From this, one could naturally see the degree of transcendence of the number 1 mountain under the heavens. These 3 should have all broken through the ultimate land of trials. Like Su Yin, They had all embarked on the path of body cultivators and unearthed the great treasures of the physical body. He really went. He's really not afraid of losing. Of course not. Suyan's strength is obvious to all. Tiangang King and Tianshan King lost miserably. They could not even force him to use his battle strength. This person will not have much difficulty in breaking through the celestial dragon realm. But after all, it's his first time going there. He has no experience. Back then, the Xian people's Tianwu king went through more than 10 times before he passed. Many people were alarmed. What was his goal? To demonstrate? The celestial dragon realm was not a bone to chew. Once he was defeated, he would not be able to raise his head for the rest of his life. After all, he had challenged the Tenrai of Beach with great fanfare. If he could not even pass the celestial dragon realm, then it would be a joke. The top 10 war god list, any one of them had passed the deity's grotto's strongest land of trials. Not only the celestial dragon realm, but also other land of trials. Chaos Immortal Elder understood Su Yan's intention. This was to break the Tenrai of Beach's record. At this time, he would not choose to remain silent. Let's wait and see. It's a pity that the Tenrai of Beach is in seclusion. Otherwise, we would be able to witness the pinnacle battle. The student surpasses the master. Su Yan's strength is beyond our Daesong domain. I hope he can go further in the future. Phoenix King and Old Monkey laughed. If Su Yan, who had passed the ultimate land of trials, really went to challenge it, would he break through the heavens? Remember to inform me of the result. Some of the blurry immortal elders gradually dispersed, leaving behind a sentence. They also wanted to know how strong Su Yan was and how many days it would take for him to pass. Understood. Many disciples of the deity's grotto quickly nodded. They did not expect that some of the immortal elders were paying attention to Su Yan. Su Yan's expression was cold. His black hair draped over his shoulders. He had already stepped into an ancient world. This world had a strong aura of desolation. In front of him, huge dragon pillars stood between heaven and earth. The colors were all different one after another. They were like giant pillars that supported the heavens. They were filled with ancient dragon might. On each of the giant pillars, there was a true dragon lying down. If it was a living creature, it emitted an ancient ferocious aura, faintly accompanied by a terrifying roar. Su Yan strode forward. The true dragons lying on each of the dragon pillars were all at the peak of Daesong level. Their bodies were invincible, and once one stepped into this world, only the body could be used. Magic power and primordial spirit were directly restrained. One could only rely on their own body to roam the celestial dragon world. Boom! One of the green pillars rumbled fiercely, and a dragon's roar shook the sky. A thick green dragon suddenly came back to life and opened its ancient eyes. It emitted a vast dragon's might and affected the whole world to tremble. To pass the celestial dragon world, one had to defeat the true dragons lying on the giant pillars. There were a total of 10 true dragons, and the time limit was only 3 days. This was exceptionally difficult. Human Eye, the green dragon roared, emitting a terrifying dragon might. It was as if it had a real body of flesh and blood. It crushed space and time, causing it to tremble. A dragon, as if it was a living dragon. Their heads were enormous like mountain ridges, and the green horns on their foreheads were capable of easily tearing apart a person's flesh and blood. The green scales that covered their entire bodies emitted clanging sounds as they emanated waves of terrifying phenomena, and it was like a boundless green ocean was pressing down towards them. This is the celestial dragon world. 10 true dragons. Once you defeat them, you can pass the level. Once you pass the level, you could get 1,000,000 points. Su Yan's eyes blazed. He believed that the situation of the other trial grounds was similar to the celestial dragon world. The reward of points was huge. Similarly, passing the level would also allow one to cultivate an unparalleled inheritance. Su Yan's clothes fluttered like thunder. His body was golden and resplendent. He who was in the first stage of the supreme fighting dragon technique was like a golden god of war that stood between heaven and earth, looking down on the world. The huge green dragon roared angrily as it charged over. Its majestic and huge dragon body glowed, emitting a vast blue ocean that washed the heavens and the earth. It could easily crush the universe as it suddenly pressed towards Su Yan. Su Yan's body rose from the ground. It was as if he had turned into a golden star. He traversed the sky and rushed in front of the green dragon. Boom! In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Sand and stones flew everywhere. Energy ripples overflowed the sky. The blue sea of the nine heavens seemed to have been hit by the Emperor's star. It collapsed in an instant. A golden tsunami rose up from within, accompanied by the power of the dragons. Kill! Su Yan roared. His moves were wide open as he pressed forward. Su Yan released his peak state. One could imagine how powerful he was. Heaven and earth trembled with a raise of his hand. He directly rushed in front of the green dragon and engaged in close combat. This kind of battle was world-shaking. The dragon's body was extremely strong and invincible. There was a rain of energy everywhere. Accompanied by a deafening loud noise, Su Yan waved his palm and fingers to resist the green dragon's power. You're only SOSO. After a short test, Su Yan's body of flesh and blood became even more blazing. He was like a human emperor that had existed since ancient times. He swept through the world and swallowed the world. Su Yan directly fought the green dragon head-on. In Su Yan's berserk state, he emitted a boundless vicious aura. It was even more terrifying than a celestial venerable. He erupted with endless power. Su Yan's fist imprints were too shocking. Every punch drew blood. On the green dragon's huge body, bloody fist imprints appeared one after another. It could be seen how terrifying and extraordinary his body was. The green dragon wailed. Its huge body trembled violently from Su Yan's punches. Large patches of green scales collapsed. You can't do it. Su Yan's black hair danced like a waterfall. Every strand of hair cut through the void. His entire body burned with golden flames and was filled with a power that could destroy heaven and earth. He waved his fist imprints. This attack was peerless. Invincible fighting strength erupted. With a bang, the green dragon's body bent. Roar! The blood-stained green dragon roared in pain. Then, it struggled with all its might because its huge head was grabbed by Su Yan. However, no matter how much it struggled and resisted, it could not break free from Su Yan's confinement power. Rise for me! Su Yan roared at the sky. His strength was boundless. In the state of the supreme dragon seizing technique, his palm grabbed the dragon's horn, causing its entire body to sway. It was as if he was using it as a green whip to dance. A great saint of the human race had lifted an azure dragon high up in the air. This was a shocking scene. If this was seen by the outside world, they would be shocked. This was the green dragon with an invincible body. However, in front of Su Yan, who was the real dragon, Su Yan's strength was endless. His arms glowed at the same time and shattered the void. Boom! The entire dragon's body was dancing under Su Yan's control. It was hard to imagine how terrifying his strength was. He smashed it solidly into the 10 pillars that supported the sky. The green dragon wailed. A section of its dragon horn was broken. Large pieces of scales fell from its body. The 10 dragon pillars trembled violently. Boom! The heavens and earth changed drastically. Violent winds howled, ghosts cried, and gods howled. True dragons rushed out of the dragon pillars one after another. There was a huge black dragon that was as black as ink, a crimson red dragon that was rolling about, and there was also a resplendent 5-clawed golden dragon. This lunatic, the expression of the deacon guarding the trial ground changed. His heart was out of control. He said with a trembling voice, "Looks like this is his first time going to the celestial dragon realm. This kid is going to be unlucky. Once he is killed, it will not be a small matter. This is 10 dragons coming out at the same time." Roar, roar! 9 dragons came out. Together with the injured green dragon, they roared. This was a shocking scene. 10 real dragons broke through the clouds at the same time and reached the peak of the sky. They emitted a terrifying dragon's aura that wanted to destroy the world. It was like the world-destroying celestial dragon diagram. 10 dragons covered the sky. Who could compete with them? Come at me. I want to fight 10 of you. Su Yan roared. He was filled with boundless dominance. He released his peak fighting strength. The dormant golden blood leaked out and flooded the entire celestial dragon realm. His fighting strength was unparalleled. Chapter 1952. Blood rushed to the heavens. The strongest power was unsealed. The sky was filled with surging golden chi and blood, filling up every inch of space. It was like 100,000 tsunamis bombarding the firmament, causing a huge change in heaven and earth. Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. His spirit was completely different. Killing intent shot out from his eyes. So what if he was facing the 10 great true dragons? Su Yan was still not afraid. He exploded with the most invincible power and rushed towards the 10 true dragons. Kill! Su Yan roared. In the peak state of his second level of the supreme fighting dragon technique, he was even more like a true dragon than a true dragon. He waved his huge fist and charged forward. Every attack caused 100,000 tsunamis to rumble. The killing power was released endlessly. The true dragons covered the sky one after another. Every one of them had a terrifying dragon body and was extremely thick. They emitted an ancient dragon's might and rushed over with a hissing sound. Facing a punch that caused 100,000 tsunamis to rumble, the 10 true dragons displayed enough peak power. It could really be said that it could destroy heaven and earth. They swept all the way. The indestructible dragon body crushed the golden tsunamis. Boundless ferocious might also came along with it. True dragon tail swing. In an instant, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Ghosts cried and gods howled. The entire celestial dragon realm seemed to have collapsed. The power that was enough to make saints tremble was violent. The 10 true dragons swung their tails at the same time. It was so terrifying that it made heaven and earth tremble and crushed the whole space. In front of this kind of energy field, even if Su Yan was powerful and shocking, he was still somewhat insignificant. What is that? The deacon of celestial dragon realm roared. His heart was in turmoil. This was a daysong? What kind of joke was this? Su Yan exerted all his strength and unleashed his invincible power. The great treasure of the human body was in full bloom. Almost in an instant, he became a lot more terrifying. He was simply like a peerless war god born from the sea of chaos. The power emitted from his body made the 10 true dragons' tails explode. Kill! Su Yan let out a loud roar. This was his most invincible state. His hair danced wildly like killing swords. His entire body emitted an unparalleled oppressive force that was filled with a source of power that had reached the peak of perfection. Boom! Su Yan was swinging his fists, and his fist imprints were so large that they covered the heaven and earth. He was more like an emperor than an emperor, and his entire body was covered in a rain of golden energy. With just this one punch, the 5-clawed golden dragon trembled violently, as if it was about to explode. Heavens, what kind of Tao technique is this? What absolute art? Even the true dragon's tail whip can't suppress it. Could it be that he can stand shoulder to shoulder with Princess? In short, the celestial dragon realm's deacon was stunned. He had goosebumps all over his body. This 5-clawed golden dragon was the true dragon with the strongest corporeal body, but it was almost unable to contend against Su Yan's strongest battle power. It was beaten until the dragon's body was ruptured, as if it had completely collapsed. At this moment, Su Yan was too powerful and transcendent. The profound mysteries of body cultivation were unleashed. Once the supreme dragon wrestling technique was unleashed, the rolling golden tsunamis that filled the sky surged with peerless ferocity. One after another, they pierced through the heavens, wanting to destroy the great stars in the heavens. Who is it? The celestial dragon realm's deacon's expression changed. He felt a chill run down his spine. He suspected that an ancient creature was standing behind him. When he turned his head to look, he discovered a vague silhouette in the void and chaos. It made the celestial dragon realm's deacon tremble. His eyes were turning black, and he was even gradually fainting from the beginning to the end. He did not see who the terrifying creature was. A gray-robed old man walked step by step towards the celestial dragon realm. He was lethargic, as if he was about to enter the earth. If Su Yan saw him, he would definitely be shocked. When he first came to the Imperial Star, Su Yan had seen this old expert at the moment of exchanging treasures on the stone tablet. At that time, he had a premonition that this person was not simple. Now, his turbid eyes were looking at Su Yan, who was breaking through the trial, looking at his posture of fighting the 10 great true dragons. The old cultivator was a little surprised. 10 dragons came out at the same time. Even the princess was defeated. Back then, the reason why the princess could break through the trial so quickly and set a shocking record was because she defeated 9 great true dragons in a short time. but 10 dragons came out at the same time. This was the celestial dragon realm's strongest trial. It could also be called a nightmare trial. No one could kill their way out of the trial. They would face the threat of death at every turn. The old cultivator sat down cross-legged, looking very tired. He looked at Su Yan. His battle prowess was very fierce. Under the state of the human body's profound eruption, he obtained the most terrifying battle prowess. Like a sharp blade that could cut through the earth, he launched a charge against the 10 dragons. In the terrifying celestial dragon realm, the scene became more and more terrifying. 10 dragons flew across the sky, roaring continuously. One after another, terrifying tails, huge enough to support the sky, like 10 large mountains and rivers, pressed down one after another, releasing the strongest battle prowess. Boom! Su Yan was majestic and domineering. His body's ultimacy was unleashed, and he turned into a golden god of war with infinite strength. 10 giant tails continuously pressed against his body, but they were all sent flying by the second level of the supreme dragon seizing technique. Kill! Su Yan's eyes were wide open. His figure rushed into the group of dragons. However, what caused Su Yan to be alarmed was that the 10 dragons filled the sky. Each of them was extremely large, and their bodies spanned hundreds of thousands of miles. The scales that covered their bodies burned and spewed out true dragon-killing aura. They turned into sword embryos that filled the sky. Flying dragon in the sky. Vaguely, Su Yan heard a low and terrifying roar. The 10 dragons worked together, evolving the peak killing order. Storms rolled in the sky. That terrifying power covered his body, making Su Yan's mouth and nose bleed. His body seemed to have exploded. Su Yan roared in desperation. At this moment, his physique was revived. His heaven-bearing avatar was unsealed, making the whole celestial dragon realm a little dim, making the 10 true dragons a little dim. Heaven-bearing fist. In the extreme oppression, Su Yan was punching. This punch was wrapped in the power of heaven-bearing, burying the earth and the sky. This world seemed to be closed, turning into a state of chaos. The forceful bombardment caused the universe to tremble. The sky full of killing power was like a terrifying rain of light. Kill! A bloody hole appeared in heaven and earth. The heaven-burying fist was unparalleled. Su Yan turned into a peerless overlord. His fist suppressed the world, destroying the true dragon's killing power. There was a majestic heaven-bearing aura that shrouded the 10 true dragons. Heaven-bearing avatar. The old cultivator was moved. His turbid pupils shone. He could vaguely see a condensed heaven-bearing immortal fetus that was close to sublimation. Its combat power was extraordinary, surging with invincible combat power. It destroyed the second stage of the celestial dragon realm's nightmare test. Dao demonstration. He is demonstrating Dao demonstration. The old cultivator's expression flickered. He could clearly see that Su Yan's most powerful body had been cultivated into an invincible body. Furthermore, he could tell that Su Yan's cultivation base had yet to reach the peak of the Great Sage level. This was shocking. One had to know that the 10 dragons came out together. Back then, even the Empress failed. The main reason was that the third killing formation was rather shocking. It was the most difficult stage in the celestial dragon realm. Although the 10 great celestial dragons could be seen wailing and trembling from Su Yan's attacks, their bodies were still extremely shocking. They were really like living creatures. It was unclear how the celestial dragon realm was built. 10 dragons coiling the heavens. The oppressive and deafening dragon roar resounded. The 10 true dragons were transforming. Their bodies rushed out with terrifying fluctuations. The heavens and earth were trembling as if they were about to explode. Su Yan felt the threat of death. The 10 true dragons were completely different. Their aura was connected with each other. It vaguely outlined a desolate ancestral dragon that commanded the world. Its divine might was unparalleled and terrifying. It seems like I have done something wrong. Su Yan felt a headache coming on. With 10 true dragons appearing at the same time, the final hurdle was a little frightening. The 10 dragons seemed to have fused together and turned into a desolate ancestor dragon. It emitted a boundless power that caused Su Yan's body to tremble slightly. Of course, this wasn't a true fusion. Otherwise, no one would be able to pass it. But at this time, the 10 true dragons were overlooking the world. They pounced on Su Yan fiercely. They contained the principles of heaven and earth, and contained endless power and order. Su Yin was coughing up blood. He staggered backward and was almost sent flying. The shadow of death shrouded him. The 10 true dragons were going to send Su Yin flying. What terrifying power! Su Yan's eyes flashed with shock. The 10 dragons were already rushing over. The world was filled with boundless killing intent. He was almost out of breath from the pressure. Roar! Su Yin roared. After all, he was the heaven's equal sage king who had passed the ultimate trial and comprehended the Copper Palace's inheritance. His strongest body seemed to be burning. His deep eyes flashed with endless patterns. He understood the principles of heaven and earth. He also burned his combat power and charged forward. This was a bitter battle. It was too difficult. Su Yan's punches drew blood. His peak combat power was constantly burning. His body's mysteries circulated endlessly as he withstood the killing power that filled the sky. The old cultivator thought that Su Yan would admit defeat and retreat. But he soon realized that Su Yan's combat power soared. It was as if he had turned into a bloodthirsty overlord. His tall figure emitted the power to split the sky. A pair of flesh and blood palms faintly rippled with axe light. Split the sky, 3 axes chop, chop, chop. There were only 3 killing moves. Back then, when Su Yin obtained the small stone axe, he also obtained the 3 killing moves. They condensed the great mysteries of the heavens and condensed them into 3 mystical abilities. Su Yin was only at the initial stage of cultivation, but he was strong enough to withstand the heavenly might contained in these 3 killing moves. At this moment, Su Yin roared and waved his palms. He looked down on everything. This place was violent, and the scene was a little blurry. In the world of the 10 dragons coiling the heavens, streak after streak of axe light exploded. Snow-white light surged, about to cleave the entire sky. This was a holy killing art. Every strike was sharp and peerless. It could easily split the mountains and split the seas. Kill! Su Yin roared and waved his palms. Chop, chop, chop. The 3 killing moves steamed with destructive heavenly power. They caused the heavens and earth to disintegrate. Energy exploded in the sky. However, Su Yin discovered a cruel problem. It was difficult for him to break out of this situation. His strength was still not enough. What was he missing? Regardless of whether it was the heavens splitting 3 axes or the supreme dragon seizing technique, he had yet to reach perfection. At this moment, Su Yin realized the gap between him and his weaknesses. His fleshly body and Taoist magic were both perfect. However, if he were to face an invincible hero, he would need the help of an unparalleled divine ability. Only then would he be able to defeat 10,000 enemies. Boom! Just as Su Yin was thinking, the power of the 10 dragons coiling the heavens shook violently. Su Yan's body was full of cracks. He fell to the ground, suffocating. He was really infinitely close to death. The heavens were filled with the principles of the heavens and earth. Waves of dragons might press down on Su Yin to the point where he could not raise his head. Su Yin was a little dazed. A giant with peerless divine courage seemed to appear in his mind, sweeping through the battlefield and looking down on everything. The old cultivator's expression was solemn. He emitted a little fluctuation, forming a special effect. It affected Su Yin to enter a special martial state. Moreover, with a flick of his sleeve, the 10 dragons stiffened and their movements slowed. After doing all this, the old cultivator was a little regretful. He had broken the rules. However, it was nothing. Su Yin only lacked the comprehension of the strongest power of a peerless physique art. As expected, his body was glowing. The profundity of the heavenly revolving palm flashed in his mind. He observed the changes of the 3rd level and instantly grasped it. Su Yin was awakened. With a raise of his hand, the heavens and earth trembled, and the sun and moon were destroyed. This was a very shocking manifestation. Every strike contained the principles of the great Tao and contained the profound laws. It was vast and mighty from his body. The heavenly dragon coiling the heavens attack had an infinitely lower effect on Su Yin. Open for me. Su Yin roared. His physical body's combat strength welcomed a great explosion. His body was like the universe, displaying the 3rd level of the supreme dragon seizing technique. He seemed to have turned into an ancient saint, containing the principles of the heavens and earth. The explosion of his palm was like a thunderclap from the nine heavens. It rumbled and shattered the universe. The strongest field of the 10 dragons coiling the heavens was pushed by the violent power in Su Yan's body in all directions at this moment. He alone deterred the 10 true dragons. His killing intent soared into the sky, tearing open one black crack after another in the energy layout. Break! Su Yan's black hair danced wildly. His body was burning fiercely, and the manifestation was completely different. It seemed to cover the sky and was peerlessly valiant. In a short period of madness, Su Yan shattered the heavens and earth. The 10 dragons trembled violently, and the power of the 10 dragons coiling the heavens collapsed. A peerless overlord killed the 10 dragons with unstoppable courage. It could be said that he had defeated the nightmare difficulty. Chapter 1953. The heavens were vast and mighty, suppressing the entire universe. Su Yan was like a slumbering archaic life form, endlessly awakening and erupting with power. He comprehended the third layer of the supreme dragon wrestling technique, and with a raise of his hand, endless strength seeped out from his body. Hung long, Su Yan's aura went berserk. The 3 layers of the supreme dragon wrestling technique were released, forming a scene of heaven and earth collapsing. This was the formation of the 10 dragons, coiling the heavens. Wanting to forcefully break through it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The current Su Yan was in a state where his body was like a cosmos. He evolved an unparalleled killing intent and broke through this nightmare. The old cultivator was shocked. What other extraordinary supreme art did Su Yan obtain? It was too fast. He had only given some pointers, but he never thought that Su Yan would be able to see through the profoundness in such a short time. Could it be that he had obtained a supreme inheritance of the body technique lineage? This scripture? Moreover, the old cultivator saw through the foundation of Su Yan's body and saw through the supreme profoundness. However, this shouldn't be something that Su Yan could use. It had to be borne in mind that when Su Yan wandered the ultimate land of refinement, he comprehended the initial scripture's supreme profoundness and used the power of the mystic gates to sort out. Thus, Su Yan could use a portion of the initial scripture's supreme profoundness. This caused Su Yan's physical strength to be somewhat excessive. It's broken. At this time, Su Yan discovered that the heavily wounded Azure Dragon's energy had dried up. Originally, the 10 dragons coiling the heavens' power reconstructed to suppress Su Yan once more. However, the Azure Dragon was heavily wounded and could no longer keep up with the rhythm. Su Yan rose up from the ground and attacked Su Yan with the strength of the 10 dragons coiling the heavens. Unfortunately, the Azure Dragon's decline was too severe. The 10 dragons coiling the heavens could no longer stop the current Su Yan. He crazily rushed forward, supporting the killing field. Kill! Su Yan roared. His scattered blood-dyed hair danced in the wind. He was majestic and imposing, and his moves were large and powerful. In an instant, he erupted with his strongest power. It was as if an ancient giant had appeared behind him and was roaring loudly. Every move he made contained the principles of heaven and earth, and it was immeasurably murderous. It was truly shocking to the heavens and earth. The heavily injured and blood-stained Azure Dragon let out a mournful cry. It was completely unable to withstand Su Yan's power and was blasted apart. Once this Azure Dragon fell, the 10 dragons coiling the heavens arrangement would also completely collapse. Roar! The 9 dragons hissed and roared. One after another, they came across the sky. Some extended their claws, some flicked their tails, and some let out dragon roars. In short, the killing power in this area was still earth-shattering. The power of the true dragon that filled the sky was still shocking. But for the current Su Yan, it was no longer a big threat. Suppress. Su Yan let out a long howl as sound waves rolled out from his mouth and nose. It was like a tsunami that engulfed the heavens and the earth, shattering the energy waves that filled the sky. This was a terrifying scene. Su Yan's figure was tall and majestic, filled with a supreme deterrent force. The giant hand he raised emitted a dragon-slaying aura. Su Yan seemed to be possessed by the demon lord as his hand grabbed the 5-clawed golden dragon. Su Yan let out a low roar. He used the 5-clawed golden dragon as a weapon and smashed it in all directions. One after another, huge true dragons wailed and trembled. Some of the true dragons were already covered in cracks. He barely passed. The old cultivator muttered. The azure dragon was heavily injured, and the 10 dragons coiling the heavens was broken in advance. Su Yin could only be said to have barely passed the nightmare trial. But this already proved that Su Yin was now very strong. If he were to do it again, even the strongest trial would not be able to stop him. It was only a matter of time before he passed. The old cultivator muttered to himself for a while. He raised his hand and erased Su Yan's passing information. Passing the bright sky, the road ahead is still long. The old cultivator did not change Su Yan's ranking. He only erased the information that he had temporarily passed the nightmare difficulty. Could this kid really have obtained the inheritance of the first mountain? The old cultivator muttered. A glimmer of light flashed in his turbid eyes. However, he did not delve into it and left. Su Yin was still there. After all, these were true dragons. Even if Su Yin did his best in his explosive state, it was still difficult for him to defeat the true dragons. Moreover, the 9 dragons were still working together. However, this was not a problem for Su Yin. It's been almost a day. I wonder when Su Yin will come out. Many cultivators were watching outside the celestial dragon realm. They were discussing among themselves. Some of them were also nervous. Su Yin was a little too much of a variable. He had the guts to challenge the Tenrai of Beach. This was enough to prove Su Yan's strength and absolute pinnacle. Some people estimated that Su Yin should be able to break through the celestial dragon realm in 3 days. Otherwise, the Tianshan King and the Tiangang King would be too useless. They did not doubt this. Su Yan's strength was obvious to all. Where did the celestial dragon realm's deacon go? Some people frowned. They had been wandering around the celestial dragon realm's entrance for half a day, but did not find the deacon. They wanted to know about Su Yan's progress as soon as possible. What happened? Ever since the old cultivator left, the celestial dragon realm's deacon slowly woke up. He had a headache, and his head was dizzy. It was as if he was hit by a stick. He frowned and scratched his head. Then, he suddenly had a realization. It should be some absolute immortal elder who came. An immortal elder who could enter and leave the celestial dragon realm as he pleased. This made the celestial dragon realm's deacon feel chill all over his body. This was something even the Thunder Immortal Elder did not possess. Could it be that a big shot from the Immortal Elder Academy came to watch the battle just now? What? It was broken. The celestial dragon realm's deacon's expression changed greatly. Su Yin passed through the celestial dragon realm. The last true dragon was also directly destroyed by him. But what happened just now? He had already forgotten. He could not remember anything clearly. This made him scared. He felt as if a part of his memory had been cut off. Who was it that did this? Su Yan's body was covered in blood, but his vicious aura was too strong. He killed 10 great true dragons in succession. He constantly emitted a suffocating fluctuation. His steps were also heavy. He walked step by step towards the celestial dragon realm's deacon. Senior, did anyone come here just now? Su Yin asked suspiciously. This deacon was only a taboo expert. He did not have the ability to give him pointers. Su Yin had successfully cultivated the 3rd layer of the unparalleled dragon wrestling technique. However, he felt that he still needed to consolidate. He still needed to make a trip to the Technique Inheritance Hall. But there was someone to guide him before. In addition, he grasped the mysteries of the Uniting Heaven Palm. When the conditions were right, success would follow naturally. At the same time, he was also shocked. The Immortal's Cave's most difficult trial was really not made of paper. If Su Yin did not destroy the Azure Dragon at the crucial moment, he would definitely continue to fight bitterly. I'm not sure. This deacon smiled bitterly. He could not tell Su Yin that his memory had been cut off. Su Yin was very suspicious. Who was it that came just now? Seems like the Celestial Dragon Realm's trial is also divided into strong and weak. The 10 great true dragons came out together. It should be the most difficult trial. Su Yin thought to himself. The Emperor spent a day to pass the Celestial Dragon Realm. One can imagine how powerful this person is. There really is always someone better than you. In fact, Su Yin did not know that the Empress did not challenge the most difficult trial at all. Breaking all the 10 dragons' ascension was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Moreover, the record she left was also from a long time ago. He did not know if the Empress would break the record if she challenged it now. He's out. The surrounding spectators were in an uproar. Someone screamed, "How is that possible? It's only been a day. How did he come out?" The whole world was silent. Yes, how did he come out? When they noticed that Su Yan's body was covered in blood, someone suddenly burst into laughter. He failed. His injuries are so serious. Looks like he failed directly. What a joke. Ha ha ha. The surroundings were in an uproar. The mocking laughter was like a tide. Tiangang King's face was a little pale. Su Yan failed? He thought it was fake. But if he succeeded, it was only a day. How did Su Yan succeed? Could it be that he could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Empress? Su Yan, go home. Don't be here. You're embarrassing yourself. Lei Hongbao also laughed. He stroked his beard and said with a smile, "To be honest, you're not weak. Don't look down on the people of the world." Everyone's eyes were focused on the figure covered in blood. Only the celestial dragon realm deacon smiled bitterly. He walked out and put a ball of information on the stone tablet. He found that all the battle records in this ball of information were erased. He guessed that there was someone who did not want the process of Su Yan's breakthrough to be made public. Then, what exactly happened while he was unconscious? This ball of information only had time and nothing else. Su Yan looked at Lei Hongbao. He did not say anything and did not respond. What should be done has been done. If Thunder Immortal Elder and the rest made things difficult for him again and suffered unfair treatment, there was no need to stay in the Immortal Cave. He would leave and forge his own path, walk his own life. Boom! In an instant, the celestial dragon stone tablet roared violently. The sound of 10 dragons roaring could be heard. It shook the heavens and the earth and swept across the land. What's that? The powerhouses in the distant world lost their composure. When they saw the blazing celestial dragon stone tablet, their faces changed drastically. They said with a trembling voice, "Who appeared on the celestial dragon stone tablet? Who is it? Who is it?" They were shocked and in disbelief. If this happened, it would be a major event that would shake the entire Immortal Cave. There were not many who left their names on the celestial dragon stone tablet. Now, someone was on the ranking. Oh my God! When the group of powerhouses approached and saw the celestial dragon stone tablet, their faces changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Impossible! Someone yelled. Their emotions exploded, and their chest rose and fell violently. Lei Hongbao's head was buzzing. What the hell was this? A name was climbing rapidly, surpassing the heavenly Tao King and the rest of the powerhouses. Moreover, the name was getting more and more glorious. As it continued to climb the celestial dragon stone tablet, it had surpassed the heavenly Tao King and was starting to surpass the celestial dragon lady. How is this possible? Lei Hongbao roared. He had completely lost his composure. His eyes were wide open and filled with hatred. What kind of celestial world joke was this? Su Yan had already surpassed the celestial dragon lady and was starting to close in on her. Let's start again. The Phoenix King waved his hand with a serious expression. He left with the old monkey. Along the way, they invited the Chaos Immortal Elders to remake the ranking. The blank is gone? Su Yan's progress is gone? The Chaos Immortal Elders were shocked. They looked at the Phoenix King. Could it be that the Phoenix King had invited the big brother of this lineage? However, the Chaos Immortal Elders felt that with that person's temper, if he really came out of seclusion, things would not progress as they were now. If you insist on making such a ruckus, let's see what Elder Lei Xian can say. The old monkey laughed. It had to be said that the old monkey had become younger these days. The declining qi and blood in his body were getting stronger day by day. This was the effect of the universe treasure liquid. It had a miraculous effect on both of them. In front of the celestial dragon stone tablet, everyone was dumbfounded. Their hearts raced, and they felt suffocated. He surpassed it? Isn't this too fake? Is this someone from the lower realms' barren land? Someone said with a trembling voice. There was great prejudice in their hearts. It could be said that they were arrogant, looking down on people from the mortal realm. Even if Su Yan and the others were powerful, this was still the case. However, when Su Yan truly reached the peak, it was as if they had been slapped in the face, trembling in fear. Su Yan's name was too grand. It was like an immortal sun, suppressing all the kings in the sky. He had already climbed to the same level as the celestial dragon lady. The two great names faintly resonated, revealing extreme combat strength. It was as if he could suppress an immortal king. It was extremely terrifying and inconceivable. Chapter 1954. The onlookers cried out in surprise. It was too shocking. They couldn't believe the ranking record on the heavenly dragon stone tablet. Who's Su Yan? A group of experts who had just come out of seclusion lost their composure. They were awakened by the sound of the stone tablet and felt their blood boil. They had been infected. In the past, whenever such a peak existence emerged, the trial grounds would announce it to the entire immortal cave. This was a kind of stimulation and spur. It was the immortal cave's way of nurturing geniuses. Surpass, princess? They were all dumbfounded. After all, they had just climbed out of the secret palace. What was going on? How much time had passed? What kind of person was Su Yan? His name was practically about to suppress the princess and take the lead. This was a terrifying event. If word got out, it would sweep across the immortal world. After all, this was the immortal cave, the core organization of the immortal world. It was the place where the strongest geniuses were nurtured. Any war god ranked on the list was an incredible achievement. Not to mention the current Su Yan, who was on par with princess, was glorious. This group of ancient war gods asked one after another and got some information. They were shocked for a while. Such a powerful person had actually been disqualified from the battle. Moreover, Su Yan seemed to strongly want to participate in the battle. He came from the human world. Someone was unusually irritated. It was as if his peerless reputation had been snatched away. He was very angry. Was there no one else in our world? What kind of nonsense is this? An ancient war god stepped out of the ancient mountains and rivers and scolded. Do you understand history? Do you understand the past? Do you understand the past between the immortal world and the human world? Do you know what a battlefield is? Do you know why the human world declined? You bunch of bastards. A series of questions shocked some people so much that they didn't know what to say. But they didn't dare to refute because their origins were too great. They were all heroes of the immortal world. A group of war gods with relatively ancient auras walked out. They couldn't wait to roar at the sky. It was as if they were telling the heroes of the human world that there was a successor. It meant that the human world wasn't completely destroyed. Why are they so angry? Someone asked. His mind was blank. He hadn't recovered from the shocking event. You don't understand. Someone shook his head and whispered, those war gods with ancient auras have lived for too long. Back then, the human world and the immortal world were sworn allies. They advanced and retreated together and lived and died together. Throughout history, there were many terrifying war gods from the human world who fought side by side with the geniuses of the immortal grotto. They were all sworn brothers. What? I've never heard of such a thing before. Many people were shocked. They weren't clear about these historical events. This period of history was quite ancient. Who could still remember it? But for these ancient and young war gods who had lived for a long time, they simply could not forget those bloody scenes, the feelings of comrades in arms on the battlefield, and the deep friendship between the immortal world and the human world when they joined forces to fight against the dark world. In the past, there were also peerless geniuses from the human realm who participated in the great war of immortals and demons. Those who died were all their brothers. The mortal realm had been defeated, but in the history before that, the immortal realm and the mortal realm had joined forces to fight against the dark realm. They were a super powerful alliance. The human realm had lost many giants and peerless geniuses in battle, which was why it had gradually declined. As a result, the immortal realm had taken over the leading position in the alliance of the two realms. This was also one of the reasons why the Age of Burial Grounds had appeared. They wouldn't doubt that the human realm in its golden age was once on equal footing with the immortal realm. In short, the immortal cave was shaken. Su Yan and the imperial daughter were on equal footing. The influence of this matter was too great. Another glorious and unequaled war god had walked out, enough to show disdain for the past and present. Bastard, Su Yan, he's too arrogant. Who gave him the guts? He really doesn't know how to restrain himself. Is he tired of living? Counterattacking like this, isn't he afraid of dying prematurely? The experts from the Tenrai of Beak's lineage were all exploding with anger. This was a naked slap to the face. The rankings had just been announced, and everyone knew that the Tenrai of Beak had replaced Su Yin. But this person responded, directly breaking through the heavens, and his title was on equal footing with the imperial daughter. This was too glorious. It provoked the experts from the Tenrai of Beak's lineage to be furious. How would the people of the Immortal Cave discuss Thunder Immortal Elder now? Would they say that he had eyes but couldn't see? Tiangang King's blood was boiling. Su Yan's breakthrough made him feel disbelief, but he was also exceptionally excited. Originally, many people mocked him for following Su Yan. Let's see if they still have the face to humiliate him now. For people like the imperial daughter, there were many Yingjia followers under her, so this wasn't worth losing face. Tiangang King, do you know who left behind the Supreme Dragon Seizing Technique? Su Yan asked an extremely strange question. Tiangang King was astonished. He didn't know about this kind of thing. Suddenly, ear-splitting rumbling sounds broke Su Yan's contemplation. One after another, ancient war gods with intimidating auras walked over, all of them carrying tremendous heavenly might. Boundless vitality surged in all directions, shaking heaven and earth. Originally, Su Yin thought trouble had come, but those who came all had good intentions. Heavenly Saint King. This group of people had very ancient origins. Even Tiangang King couldn't name them, but he did see a majestic monkey king in the crowd. He was the descendant of the old monkey and had a majestic physique, dominating heaven and earth. He introduced them to Su Yan. Su Yan's eyes lit up, and he walked over with a face full of smiles. He cupped his fists and said, "Heavenly Saint King, I've heard a lot about you. I'm Su Yan. Brother Su Yan, well done." Heavenly Saint King's words were filled with excitement. He already knew that Su Yin had given his father some universal treasure liquid, and even the old monkey had fulfilled his long-cherished wish of many years. Su Yin and the old monkey's master had a divine monkey relationship. There weren't too many words. Their friendship was all in their hearts. Heavenly Saint King brought Su Yin to introduce this group of ancient war gods. This group of people didn't have noble titles, mainly because they had existed for too long, and their noble titles would also disperse. The Empress and the others also didn't have their titles, but with their prestige, they didn't need noble titles to set off their identities. They came to congratulate, and the situation was obviously different, causing the nearby spectators to be filled with jealousy. One had to know that this group of people were all people with meritorious deeds, and some of them had great backgrounds. Now that they came to congratulate Su Yin, it could be seen how important Su Yin was now. "You're Wu Hong. I've heard of your name long ago." Tiangang King's expression was respectful as he greeted a bronze-skinned man. This was someone who had won 2 battles on the immortal devil battlefield. His divine might was boundless and unimaginable. The martial race was also very impressive. They used to be a monarch race, but unfortunately, the titled great emperors had withered away, and the race had lost its glory. "Brother, there's no need to be so polite." Wu Hong raised his hand and laughed straightforwardly. "We're all family." Su Yan's expression was strange. This group of people was extremely powerful and ferocious. "Brother Su, you're strange, aren't you?" A woman in blue armor smiled lightly. It was hard to tell how much time had passed, but she was youthful and beautiful. She said softly, "The restrictions of the Immortal's Cave are too great. If I had another chance to choose, I wouldn't stay here forever. I heard that Brother Su is a temporary resident of the Immortal's Cave. I'm really envious of you. You've made a wise choice. The path of a strong is always changing. The future won't be easy." Su Yin replied. Wu Hong was silent. They were peak experts of the same generation as the Heavenly Force King, but they were slightly inferior to the Heavenly Dragon Maiden. Thus, they could only hide and sleep for life. This time, if not for the opening of the Dao Cave, they wouldn't even have the qualifications to go out and take a look. Sometimes, there was no choice in life. It was too cruel. Since there are batches of peak Daesong in the Immortal's Cave, why can't we leave? Su Yin asked. Wu Hong's tone was deep and heavy. It's not just because of the great immortal demon war. The dark world is coming menacingly. Most of the immortal world's decisions are to temporarily hide. Su Yin was shocked. They couldn't afford to fight. They could only choose to keep a batch of the strongest seeds and let them grow in the future. However, no one knew when. Even the strongest person would grow old one day. The Immortals' Cave had accumulated batches of ancient war gods. If they were released, they would definitely achieve great things in the future. However, the immortal world didn't want the glory of an era. Then won't we always be at a disadvantage? Baocai's tone was heavy. He didn't care about the immortal world's survival, but he did. However, if the immortal world couldn't hold on, the human world would have no way out. No matter what, the human world needed the immortal world's strength. The dark world is stronger than you think, Wu Hong said. Especially after the human world's incident, the immortal world is in danger. No matter how strong the dark world is, it can't swallow the immortal world in one go. Of course, the immortal world and the dark world can't afford to fight. Otherwise, the immortal world's decline will accelerate. Wu Hong and the others understood a lot. After all, they had witnessed the bloody history. Even great emperors could fall. The immortal world was very peaceful in these tens of millions of years. It gave the immortal world some time to breathe. However, the great calamity would come again. The human world had already withered. Wu Hong and the others felt that the time for them to be reborn was very close. Perhaps after they left the Immortals' Cave and became the pillars of the immortal world, King Tianwu and the others in the Immortals' Cave would continue to sleep like them. This cycle would ensure the immortal world's future strength. Su Yin was silent. The ones suffering were the lowest level warriors. There was no time, no way out. They could only fight. However, times had changed. The human world had been destroyed. What was the fate waiting for the immortal world? Was it? Su Yin's eyes flashed coldly. What were the Xian people looking for back then? They didn't hesitate to join forces with the dark world. It must be a great temptation. Moreover, this thing was related to him. This was a blood feud. He hid it in his heart. When he was strong enough, he would definitely pay them a visit. Let's not stand here. Let's find a place to drink. Treat it as a welcoming party for Su Yin. Heavenly Saint King suggested. The group left in a grandiose manner, causing the people nearby to be envious. Lei Hongbao's expression was ugly. Su Yin was already in the top circle of the Immortals' Cave. If they wanted to make things difficult for him in the future, Wu Hong and the others wouldn't remain silent. These people's masters were all in the Immortal Elder's courtyard. Now that Heavenly Saint King invited a large group of people out for a gathering, these people weren't people who knew their place. Thunder Immortal Elder, are you going to reject? In the Immortal Elder's courtyard, the old monkey's expression was cold. He shouted, Su Yin's strength is obvious to all. What else do you want? Thunder Immortal Elder was very calm. He said calmly, Su Yin is anxious to participate in the Immortal Demon War. I can understand. However, the Tenrai of Beach isn't weak. He has already developed his Tao. If he doesn't go, it will be a pity. Chaos Immortal Elder's ears were about to grow calluses. Everyone knows that your son has developed his Tao. Can you not mention it? Phoenix King smiled. Then let's do as Thunder Immortal Elder says. Let King Tianwu, the Sky Race's Heavenly King, or the Heavenly Tao King give up a spot. This way, Su Yin and the Tenrai of Beach can both go. Phoenix King, I didn't say that. Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was ashen. He didn't say that. The experts of the Xian people's factions had ugly expressions. Wasn't that what you meant just now? For your son, the Xian people will give up their benefits? The Tenrai of Beach has developed his Tao. On the contrary, King Tianwu didn't. Thunder Immortal Elder's words just now didn't make it that obvious. Princess and the others couldn't withdraw. Therefore, one of the four Tenrai of Beach had to give up a spot. King Tianwu was an expert of the Xian people. If Thunder Immortal Elder wasn't prepared to give up his spot, then King Tianwu would have to give up his spot or someone else. However, the rankings had already been decided. How glorious were the Xian people? How could they give up a spot? However, who could look down on the current Su Yin? He would be mocked by the world. Immortal Elder had said before that the number one mountain under the heavens could obtain a spot. The Tenrai of Beach already had a spot. If they didn't give it to Su Yin, it wouldn't make sense. Su Yin had already proven his strength. Who could still doubt him? Moreover, Phoenix King felt that the barbarian god of the savage emperor race. How could he give it up? How could he be willing? When the time came, there would most likely be a huge commotion. Thunder Immortal Elder looked at the experts of the Xian people. The atmosphere in Immortal Elders Institute was a bit stifling. The Xian people wouldn't withdraw so easily. He pretended not to see it. Thunder Immortal Elder couldn't hold it in any longer. He said, "The Xian people already have an immortal lord." The Xian people's immortal elder was furious. This was forcing the Tianwu king to give up his spot. However, according to the previous rules, it should be the Tenrai of Beach. After all, the great war of immortals and devils this time was different. The Empress and the others had all come out. They would definitely win. This was something that concerned the glory of the Emperor race. When the time came, the Xian people's two great war gods would participate in the war. When the news spread, it would also be a great glory. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, a series of footsteps came from the silent Immortal Elders Institute. A weak and powerless old man came. He was lethargic. His head of gray hair hung loosely, covering half of his face. "Who are you? Who let you in?" Thunder Immortal Elder was still angry. Su Yin roaming the celestial dragon realm was equivalent to giving him a slap in the face. If he let the Tenrai of Beach withdraw at this time, wouldn't his face be smashed to the ground and trampled on? His youngest son was beaten to death by Su Yin, and his eldest son was forced to give up. How could the Tenrai of Beach sit still? He was furious. He wanted nothing more than to roar at the sky and roar Su Yin to death. "Little Thunder, I didn't think that even this old man would recognize you." The old cultivator sighed and raised his head slightly. Thunder Immortal Elder's expression changed greatly. He pointed at the old man and stammered, unable to say anything. This little Thunder made him panic. Who dared to call him that? "Where did your virtue go?" The old cultivator walked over slowly. His voice was old, but there was a rare hint of sternness in it. Chapter 1955. Immortal Elder Palace was in an uproar. Chaos Immortal Elder and the others all stood up, their breathing heavy, finding this hard to believe. This was especially the case for Phoenix King. His mind was in turmoil. It was him. He actually came out of seclusion. When did this happen? He actually didn't know anything about it. If this person came out of seclusion, it would definitely shake up the entire Immortal Elder Academy. However, Great Immortal Elder appeared before them, just like that. This left them extremely shocked. Could it be that Su Yin made Great Immortal Elder appear? Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was a bit sinister. Where did his virtue go? This was pointing at his nose, saying that he had lost his virtue, that he wasn't worthy of being called an Immortal Elder. Thunder Immortal Elder, was already quite old, moreover the third Immortal Elder of Immortal Elder Academy. When had he ever been humiliated like this before? What? Your wings have grown, not willing to listen to this old man's teachings? The old cultivator's steps were slow, truly looking incomparably weak, as if a gust of wind could blow him over. The entire Immortal Elder Palace's atmosphere was oppressive to the extreme. Everyone stood up, their bodies a bit stiff, expressions of shock. It really was a great Immortal Elder. The head of Immortal Elder Academy's Immortal Elder, his status equivalent to the principal. Forget about Thunder Immortal Elder. Even if young Emperor and the others came, they would have to respectfully call him Master. This person had nurtured too many heavenly talents. No one knew how old he was. It was rumored that he rose to power a long time ago, to the extent where he had even been bestowed the title of Emperor. What kind of existence was this? He had been bestowed the title of Emperor. It was rumored that he had once been seriously injured, losing his identity as an emperor. There were many legends related to this person, but his reputation had existed for an extremely long time. The amount that was remembered was already limited. However, this title of emperor was a fact. Moreover, there were quite a few immortal kings among his disciples. Regardless of whether it was his identity or background, they were all too world-shocking, affecting the endless years. Great Immortal Elder, Thunder Immortal Elder's breathing was heavy, his fists clenched, but he still said through gritted teeth, "In the past, I underestimated Su Yin, but the Tenrai of Beach has enough talent. I will convince the other heavenly talents to give a spot to Su Yin. Phoenix King's expression was extremely cold. It was already at this time. He, Thunder Immortal Elder, was still prepared to protect his son. They were both fathers. Back then, the Phoenix King was willing to give up his life for his children. He was willing to pay any price. He fought a bloody battle in the dark world and wasn't prepared to turn back. However, Elder Lei Xian had been targeting Su Yin, a Daesong, for his own benefit. He had already lost the quality that an Elder Xian should have. Ha ha, the old cultivator laughed, causing the primal chaos Immortal Elders and the others to feel nervous. What was wrong with the Thunder Immortal Elder? Did he really think that his son was invincible? He didn't even dare to listen to the great Immortal Elder's words. One had to know that this matter was Thunder Immortal Elder's fault. Su Yin was the true war god of the First Mountain. Logically speaking, Su Yin should be the one to participate in the battle. Regardless of how strong the Tenrai of Beach was, how heaven-defying he was, Immortal Old Academy already gave out 3 quotas to those who attempted the First Mountain. But with the influence of the Empress and the others coming out of seclusion, it was true that Su Yin and the others didn't need a spot. However, what right did the Tenrai of Beach have to obtain one? The great Immortal Elder's laughter couldn't be said to be too loud. For the primal chaos Immortal Elders and the others, it wasn't that ear-splitting either. However, when it landed in Thunder Immortal Elder's ears, it was simply like being struck by lightning, making him tremble, his entire body tremble. How could this be? Thunder Immortal Elder couldn't help but kneel down. He was inwardly horrified. Didn't they say that the great Immortal Elder was about to pass away? He already didn't have the strength of his peak. So how could he still release such great power? This was especially the case with the current great Immortal Elder. He was so old that he didn't have the majesty of his peak, but for Thunder Immortal Elder, the great Immortal Elder was like a world-shattering azure dragon, terrifying to the point where he couldn't help but tremble. Apu! Thunder Immortal Elder coughed out a mouthful of blood, flying outwards. His body smashed into Immortal Old Academy's gates, releasing a low roar of pain. No matter how powerful he was, when faced with the great Immortal Elder who had previously been granted the title of Emperor, he could only feel his soul suffocate. He was like a little chick, his life about to be devoured by death. Phoenix King and the others sighed in admiration. Worthy of being Immortal Cave's great Immortal Elder. How could this title be for no reason? He was the head of Immortal Old Academy's Immortal Elders, someone who had nurtured the Imperial Daughter and the others. Even though he was now old and weak, he was still not someone Thunder Immortal Elder could act so unbridled before him. Immortal Old Academy is a core institution of Immortal Realm. If you can even casually refuse to acknowledge a document announced to the world, what meaning is there left in Immortal Old Academy's existence? Thunder Immortal Elder coughed out blood. He wanted to retort, but he couldn't say a single word. Immortal Old Academy was enough to represent Immortal Realm's honor and disgrace. Once news of the Tenrai of Beach replacing Su Yin was leaked out, how would the people of the world view Immortal Old Academy? This was unfair. It would make the people of the world question the authority of this institution. Thunder Immortal Elder, the way you handle matters is unfair. Remove the third Immortal Elder's position. Immediately afterwards, the entire Immortal Old Academy rumbled and trembled. The guards outside were all scared silly. He was the third Immortal Elder, yet he was removed from his position just like that. If news of this got out, who knew how great of an impact it would have? Great Immortal Elder, you don't have the qualifications. Thunder Immortal Elder almost went crazy from anger. He had spent an endless amount of time to reach the position of third Immortal Elder, his status and position enough to speak with an Emperor-level giant. However, a single sentence from the great Immortal Elder stripped him of his status. This was the same as killing him. It was even more unbearable than death. Even though he was also an Immortal King, how could this be the same? He had his status stripped away, becoming a huge laughingstock. Brazen. Thunder Immortal Elder, I think you really have gone mad. The old monkey was furious. It raised its large hand and smashed it down on Thunder Immortal Elder's body. Thunder Immortal Elder screamed miserably immediately suffering serious injuries, his skin splitting and flesh tearing apart. His immortal king body was rumbling and trembling, coughing out large mouthfuls of blood, in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Even he was about to die. One had to understand that the old monkey had also listened to the great Tao under the great immortal elder's tutelage, equivalent to half a master in his youth. Similarly, if the great immortal elder was at his peak, would he, Thunder Immortal Elder, dare say a single word? Wasn't it because he felt like the great immortal elder was already old? This doesn't conform to the rules. The great immortal elder side, Immortal Elder Academy, was in an uproar. Chaos Immortal Elders group of people immediately stood out. They could work together and strip the third Immortal Elder of his status. This would conform to the rules. This old man cannot act arbitrarily either. I think we should imprison Thunder Immortal Elder in the 33rd layer of the underworld ocean. We have no objections. Chaos Immortal Elder and the others' hairs stood on end, inwardly wiping away Thunder Immortal Elder's cold sweat. Being imprisoned in the 33rd layer of the underworld ocean, this was endless torture. Moreover, the great Immortal Elder didn't say how many years he would be punished at all. Thunder Immortal Elder was so angry he was about to explode, his eyes about to split apart, really wanting to roar out. What he had always valued was his authority that couldn't be challenged. Now that he was directly sent to the underworld ocean to suffer, he might as well remove the third Immortal Elder status. The old cultivator's figure gradually became indistinct, leaving behind a sentence. Suyin is not bad. Heroes don't ask for a way out. Could it be that Immortal Elder Academy doesn't even have the slightest bit of tolerance left? We will follow great Immortal Elder's teachings, all living beings shouted out in unison. Some people felt guilty, previously prejudiced against Suyin, always on guard against him. For example, Phoenix King and the others were like Thunder Immortal Elder. They reckoned that Suyin had long died, or perhaps he had left a long time ago. Moreover, with Suyin's current accomplishments, they had to admit that he was powerful, enough to enter the highest level of Immortal Cave. His flesh was comparable to Phoenix Girl's. Was there even a need to doubt this? One could see just how powerful Suyin was. Thunder Immortal Elder was still trembling, unable to crawl back up. He felt incredibly sullen inside, but he didn't dare release any killing intent. Phoenix King laughed coldly. This old thing only had himself to blame. Suyin's strength was obvious to all. They directly created a list, taking down the Tenrai of Beach, Suyin obtaining the quota he deserved. The old monkey relented. Great Immortal Elder attached great importance to Suyin. With this level of care, the Xian people didn't dare act rashly. This matter must be kept a secret. It cannot be spread outside. Chaos Immortal Elder smiled. I didn't expect Great Immortal Elder to come out of seclusion. Since he isn't willing to show himself, then there is no need for us to spread this news. Immortal Elders left Immortal Elder Courtyard one after another. During this process, no one dared to say a word. Thunder Immortal Elder was still trembling. In the end, a group of guards rushed over, took out chains, and locked him up in Hell Ocean. Suyin, Wu Hong, and the others chatted for a night. Suyin was happy to make friends with these people. He returned to Immortal Cave and said goodbye to everyone. However, what surprised him was that group after group of deacons came. It seemed like they had been waiting for him for a long time. This was completely different from when he first came to Immortal Cave. It was like he was avoiding a plague. Now, a group of deacon elders were full of smiles, greeting Suyin politely right away. Bao Kai was stunned. At first glance, they looked like old friends he hadn't seen for many years. These old things were just too friendly. What were they trying to do? Even the way they addressed him had changed. They kept calling him Heaven equals Saint King. Equaling Heaven Saint King, there are a few ownerless top cave mansions on the Imperial planet. They are all first-class grotto heavens near the Supreme cave mansions. Do you see any that you like? An old cultivator took out a map of the Imperial planet and asked Suyin to choose a cave manor. Tiangang King felt strange. These abodes were much better than his, and Suyin was allowed to choose as he pleased. This was the treatment of the strongest disciple. Haha, Heaven equals Saint King, you have passed the celestial dragon realm. This is a 1,000,000 point token. Saint King, you're the disciple of Immortal Cave Dali. You could go to all the great blessed lands. Heaven and Earth Dragon Pool, Immortal King Tao Enlightenment Grounds, Emperor Star's Origin, Immortal Weapon Tempering Pool. He listed a dozen places in one breath, making Tiangang King's eyes red. In the end, he even gave him a mansion in Emperor Star. This made Tai Baotsai's heart tremble. This was incredible treatment. A mansion in Emperor Star could not be bought with money, and the mansions in Immortal Cave's control were all first class. Elders, you are too polite. Su Yan was a little confused. These deacons felt bitter. They wanted to say that if Thunder Immortal Elder had not been forced into the Abyssal Ocean and he had won the top 10 spots, who would help him like this? Some Immortal Kings had already said that they would give Su Yan some special treatment, taking the opportunity to dispel his wariness towards Immortal Cave. The Grand Immortal Elder had already said that Su Yan was not bad. What kind of weight was this? How could the various Immortal Elders not understand? The Grand Immortal Elder valued Su Yan, so he would naturally give him the best treatment. Some deacons were even simple and direct. They said that Su Yan could bring his friends to Emperor Star as followers. This was not surprising. Tianwu King and the others had many followers and could stay in Emperor Star for a long time. Where is Thunder Immortal Elder? Su Yan was curious. Where'd he go? Why didn't he jump out and make things difficult for him? Chapter 1956. These deacons didn't know it all, and even if they did, they wouldn't speak carelessly. The 33rd level of the Infernal Ocean was a great torture for Immortal Kings. At the same time, the Infernal Ocean was also the Immortals Cave's strongest trial. No disciple had ever reached the 33rd level. Thank you, elders. How could Su Yan refuse? He accepted all of them. He even received some elder tokens. With these tokens, he could go to the dojos opened by these elders to listen to the great Tao. All right, Su Yan, I forgot to tell you. You're already one of the top 10 participants. You can enjoy a 20% discount in the Treasury and the Hall of Martial Arts. This last sentence made Su Yan's heart surge. He was finally on the list, and the Immortals Cave directly sent the list to all places. In a few days, Su Yan's divine might soared. His name shook the immortal world, and he became a household name. Roar, Brother East Demon, Su Yan is going to fight. On the third battlefield, Fan Jian laughed excitedly. The list of the top 10 participants of the immortal world had spread throughout the 10 battlefields. What? Brother Su Yan is going to fight with the Empress. The Immortal Phoenix Army's veterans were all excited. Great, this is great. The Empress was known as the most extraordinary woman in the immortal world. Her prestige was too great. Rumor had it that even a young emperor had been chasing after her. Similarly, once the crown princess appeared, the dark world would feel as if they were facing a great enemy. This was a heavyweight contestant, including the Immortal Lord, the All-Seeing King, the Heavenly Lord King, and the others. They were all famous peerless geniuses. Ha ha ha. In the end, Eastern Devil laughed heartily. His messy hair draped over his shoulders, and his majestic appearance was dyed in blood. He coldly shouted, "Once this news spreads, I believe that the Immortal Phoenix Army will once again strengthen and absorb a large number of soldiers. This is an extremely good opportunity to strengthen the Immortal Phoenix Army." Su Yan dominated the first mountain, and his divine prowess was overwhelming. Everyone knew that the Phoenix King was equivalent to Su Yan's Tao Protector. With Su Yan's prestige, he could attract many experts to join his army. But what surprised Ease Demon and the others was that after half a month, the Dipper King came and brought a batch of rare resources. There was even universal treasure liquid among them. Fan Jian was speechless. Was Su Yan doing so well in the Immortals Cave? After all, it was a special teleportation array that sent the Dipper King to the third battlefield. How could it be called Immortal Cave for nothing? As the core organization of the immortal world, it was a very simple matter to casually mention it to a deacon. Emperor Star Void. This was one of the top secret mansions in the Cave of the Immortals. Hidden within were the variables of the starry sky. From the outside, it looked like a cave mansion, but the inside was as vast as the ancient starry sky. Day and night, pure moonlight and starlight would fall. If one cultivated here all year round, their physique would undergo some changes. Zhu Yu and the others were all cultivating in the void of stars, growing stronger day by day. Their progress in the great saint realm was advancing by leaps and bounds. B. The immortal and demon. TT Tess immortal T, wars haft. The TTT. I didn't expect to need so much heaven and earth energy to repair it to the taboo level. Luckily, this is a top-notch cave with endless energy. Su Yin had already started to repair the humanoid puppet. The heavenly craft furnace spun day by day, and the repair time was a bit slow. The heavenly craft furnace swallowed the essence of the sun and moon all day long, so it needed a huge amount of energy every day. Su Yin, you cultivate honestly, travel, accumulate points, and cultivate the secret technique inheritance. Leave the heavenly craft furnace to me. This period of time is too important. Improve yourself as much as possible. Big Goldie was no stranger to the heavenly craft furnace. He said, find a way to get the heaven and earth material you need. This puppet is a top-notch puppet made of ancient bronze immortal crystal, but from the craftsmanship, it's definitely the strongest. Once it's fully repaired, it'll be comparable to me. Su Yin was shocked. What he lacked now was ancient bronze immortal crystal. This thing was rare, and the Immortal's Cave didn't have it at all. In order to repair the puppet to the strongest level as soon as possible, Su Yin asked the old monkey for help. He didn't know if he could buy the materials. After all, it involved the strongest heaven and earth material. It wasn't something that could be bought with money. Su Yin, when the puppet is repaired, won't you be a celestial king? Bao Kai was shocked, and its eyes turned red. Big Goldie shook his head. Su Yin was only a supreme saint. Even if he was given the strongest puppet, he wouldn't be able to use it. When he stepped into the sovereign level, perhaps he would be able to use a portion of its power. Bao Kai was also very rich now. It had broken the celestial dragon realm and obtained a huge amount of points. Su Yin didn't want to stay idle. It was time to break through. A lot of points were still calling for him. The cultivation of the heaven, earth, and man three senses was very difficult. Su Yin had to prepare enough points. However, King Han Huang warned Su Yin not to rush too fiercely. How could he not hear the hidden meaning? The great immortal elder had erased the process of Su Yin breaking through the celestial dragon realm. This was a very important signal. The Xian people were temporarily calm, but it didn't mean that they wouldn't kill him again. If his talent was terrifying enough, the Xian people would try their best to kill him. Su Yan's biggest enemy in the celestial world wasn't the Thunder Immortal Elder, but the Xian people and the Reincarnation Emperor tribe. In fact, the Phoenix King had some doubts. Su Yan's ranking had surpassed the Empress. A person from a human realm had suppressed the Empress? This question was a bit ridiculous. This wasn't a good thing for Su Yan. It would most likely make the Xian people crazy for revenge. They might even dare to make a move in the Celestial Cave. Su Yan's prestige was not enough. If he won the Immortal Demon War and had enough prestige, he would be qualified to stay in the Immortal Elder Courtyard in the future. Of course, there was another factor. The Empress and the others had suffered the crazy revenge of the Dark World. However, these people came from the Empress and had great methods to protect themselves. Otherwise, Su Yin would die. Su Yin once again went to the Supreme Dragon wrestling technique. Although he had mastered it, he still needed to stabilize his body. Points, I need points. In the following days, Su Yin was a bit crazy. In the Celestial Cave, there were the most difficult trial grounds: Celestial Dragon Realm, 10,000 Laws Realm, Suicide Valley, Heavenly Cliff Mountain, Heaven and Earth Cave, Dragon Slaying Valley, and Hell Sea. Su Yin had already passed through the Celestial Dragon Realm of the 7 Great Trials. Among them, the Abyssal Ocean was the most difficult. There were a total of 33 heavens. Once he passed through it, the rewards he would receive were somewhat frightening. Big Goldie gave Su Yin a mission to pass the 7 most difficult trial grounds in a year and earn a lot of points. First, he would get a batch of cultivation resources and rare treasures. Similarly, he had cultivated the heaven, earth, and man's supreme inheritance. The difficulty of this mission was not low. To clear all of this in 1 year was simply too crazy. Su Yin, This is the Heavenly Blood Soul Stone. One tail is worth 300,000 points. Big Goldie growled. This thing is expensive. There are more than one. 5 kilograms in the treasury. Get as many as you can. When you step into the Emperor realm, with the power of the Heavenly Blood Soul Stone, it will be enough to strengthen your primordial spirit in a short time and lay a shocking foundation. There's also the Immortal King Regeneration Pill. This pill is refined from a large amount of Immortal King blood. Each pill has the effect of bringing the dead back to life. Even Immortal Kings can use this pill to recuperate, let alone you. Even if you're only left with a head, you can still reconstruct your body in a short period of time. You have to get one. Big Goldie mumbled and yelled out more than a dozen rare treasures. Points, he really needed points. As long as Su Yin could get a huge amount of points, he would be able to accumulate wealth that was not inferior to that of a celestial king. Even immortal kings might not be able to get these resources. Heavenly Tao King, Su Yin went to world of 10,000 laws. On Emperor Star, a few people were paying attention to Su Yin. Heavenly Tao King was also paying close attention. When he received this news, he shook his head, saying, "There is no need to say more about Su Yan's physical attainments, but world of 10,000 laws tests the great Tao of heaven and earth. How can it be so easily broken? He is a bit arrogant." There were even some who were more direct. On the path of cultivation, every great Tao could reach the heavens. Su Yan's physical body was so powerful that a few immortal elders attached great importance to it. They felt that Su Yin shouldn't focus on other domains, but rather focus on cultivating the physical body. When Su Yin suffers, I will personally enlighten him. There were also immortal kings who attached importance to Su Yin, wishing to take him as a disciple. An immortal elder said with a smile, "His physical body is so exceptional, he shouldn't walk other great paths." Focusing on cultivating the physical body, in the future, he can also become an immortal king. It had to be said that a group of immortal kings attached great importance to Su Yin. Even great immortal elder had spoken. Even though this matter didn't spread, and the people of the outside world didn't know that Thunder Immortal Elder was imprisoned in the underworld sea, they believed that great immortal elder really hoped that Immortal Cave would give Su Yin special care. This could be considered using virtue to convince others. Su Yin passed world of 10,000 laws. The next day, Immortal Cave was in an uproar, creating a huge commotion. No one expected that Su Yan's physical body was already terrifying enough, but who would have thought that his Tao techniques were also so profound, enough to possess offensive emperor-level strength? When Heavenly Tao King received this news, he remained silent for a long time. That was world of 10,000 laws. Su Yin passed it. Many immortal elders in Immortal Elder Academy were shocked. He passed it? This news was too unexpected. Both the physical body and the great Tao were so outstanding. The future path was too broad. Some of the immortal kings who mainly cultivated the physical body side, how could they open their mouths to accept a disciple? After all, they couldn't give Su Yin the strongest cultivation guidance. Su Yin would often gather with Wu Hong and the others to exchange knowledge about cultivation. In short, during this period of time, he was very happy in Immortal Cave and made many friends. What was even more shocking was that Heavenly Dipper King had passed through Heavenly Dragon Realm. What was going on? He had only followed Su Yin for 3 months, yet he had actually passed through Heavenly Dragon Realm. His treatment in Immortal Cave had greatly increased, causing others to be extremely envious. In these days, there were many disciples of Immortal Cave who came to ask for guidance from Su Yin, hoping to help him. The Phoenix King was very happy about this, allowing Su Yin to make friends and receive good karma. He broke through, the Suicide Valley broke through. What? He even broke through the Suicide Valley? Just how strong is this child? Unbelievable. No wonder Su Yin replaced the name of the Tenrai of Beach. His strength is actually so ridiculous. Some shocking news came that Su Yin had passed through the Suicide Valley. Although the rankings of the 10,000 Laws realm and the Suicide Valley were not too brilliant, wasn't it a little scary to break through 3 checkpoints in a few months? And according to the information they received, Su Yin had gone to the next strongest difficulty. This made some people angry. What does Su Yin mean? Could it be that he wants to pass through all the difficulties and make us feel good? There's no hope at all. My immortal cave has 7 great heavenly gates. Su Yin can't possibly be proficient in everything, right? Furthermore, no one can pass the Hell Sea Town at the end. The immortal cave was in a mess. These days, Su Yin had set off quite a few storms. He had also hidden some of his strength and was not as stunning as when he was roaming the celestial dragon realm. In short, it was already not bad for him to be ranked in the top 10 or 20. The more difficulties Su Yin passed, the greater his prestige. There were already many experts following him. Time flew, and there was only half a year left before the start of the Great War of Immortals. In the third battlefield, the Immortal Phoenix army was growing stronger day by day. Their troops were about to approach an army of 100,000. This was a bit shocking. An army of 100,000 was about to come back from the dead. They had erupted from the extreme realm and absorbed a large number of elite soldiers, as well as an endless stream of new soldiers. Furthermore, their numbers were still soaring. There was even a group of geniuses from the Immortal Cave that joined the Immortal Phoenix army, causing a huge storm. Did Su Yin marry into the Tian clan and find a thigh? But isn't his leg hair a bit thick? I heard that Su Yin caused a huge commotion in the Immortal Cave. All the geniuses who joined our army have a deep friendship with Su Yin. That's incredible. Su Yin and the East Demon often communicate. He has sent all the people he roped in from the Immortal Cave. Yeah, the disciples of the Immortal Cave have to carry out battlefield missions every once in a while. I didn't expect such a large group to come to our army. Even Yang Hui was dumbfounded. Even the treatment of the Immortal Phoenix army in the third battlefield was clearly different from before. They were provided with many soldiers who had just joined the army. These were all fresh blood, and were the targets that all the large armies were fighting over. Batch after batch of disciples from the Immortal Cave carrying out missions joined their army. This matter had a huge impact. With this group of people joining, how could the Immortal Phoenix army not be terrifying? They had outstanding military achievements and received shocking rewards. News of victory spread across the various large battlefields. Hence, the attraction grew bigger and bigger. Many armies were envious. They were snatching people. How to put it? The matter of the Thunder Immortal Elder being imprisoned in the ocean of hell was too frightening. There were already some rumors. Su Yin might have a giant behind him. Maybe the leader of the Phoenix King's faction had come out of seclusion. After all, this matter touched on the core of the immortal world's power. This kind of person could make the immortal world tremble with a stomp of his foot. The Immortal Elderly Institute was a core organization of the immortal world. What did it matter if it affected the third battlefield? The direction of the situation had completely changed. Even the group of people who followed Su Yin directly went to the immortal sect. Who was he? Behind him was the Immortal Cave. Any one of them was a boss. These people were very important. Just a casual word from the Dipper King and the others was enough to make some managers of the immortal sect treat it as a top priority. It gave the Immortal Phoenix army a chance to quickly grow stronger. Heaven, Earth, and Man connection. 5 days and 5 nights. Su Yin used up a huge amount of points and finally broke through. Lawful embodiment of Heaven and Earth. Heaven's Eye connection, divine feet. The 3 connections were all revived. He was like a peerless war immortal crossing the sea of chaos. He broke through. Song was sucked in a cold breath. Su Yin cultivated the Heaven, Earth, and Man connections. This matter was even more shocking than him passing the 3 great obstacles. One had to know that he had only spent 5 days and 5 nights. After Su Yin came out of seclusion, he went straight to the Heaven and Earth Cave. The time left for himself was already very limited. Chapter 1957. Chaos Immortal Elder. Su Yin went to Heaven and Earth Cave. Songwa came to report, which made the Chaos Immortal Elder laugh and say, Su Yin, Su Yin, he is really crazy. My Immortal Cave's 7 great difficulties, Celestial Dragon Realm, Suicide Valley, Heavenly Cliff Mountain, 10,000 Laws World, he has already passed the 4 strongest difficulties. How long has it been? Master is wise. Brother Su Yin is really worthy of De Li's nurturing. Songwa also sighed. He really admired the Chaos Immortal Elder's wisdom. Su Yin passed the 4 strongest difficulties. There were very few who could do this in the past Immortal Cave. Heaven and Earth Cave, Dragon-Slaying Valley, Infernal Sea. There were still 3 great difficulties left. The Infernal Sea was naturally the most terrifying difficulty, but no one passed the Hell Sea. Even the various Immortal Elders in the Immortal Elder Academy, the number of experts who passed was extremely limited. Otherwise, the great Immortal Elder wouldn't have imprisoned the Thunder Immortal Elder in the 33rd Hell Sea and suffered endless torture and pain. Even the points needed to pass the Hell Sea was an extremely ridiculous number, a terrifying 10 million points, but no one passed in the past. The most stunning emperors in history also stopped at the 32nd Hell Sea. But stepping into the 32nd place, the reward was also a high 3 million points. Heaven and Earth Cave test the physical body and Tao. Su Yin passed it without any difficulty. The Chaos Immortal Elder said with a smile, Su Yin has been crazy these days, accumulating a huge amount of points. Master really values Su Yin. As far as I know, many immortal kings are paying close attention to Su Yin's movements. Songguo was a little envious and also a little jealous. His mood was complicated, and he asked again, Master, do you think Su Yin will go to Dragon-Slaying Valley? The Chaos Immortal Elder was a little silent. Of the 7 great difficulties, not to mention the Hell Sea, Dragon-Slaying Valley was the second most difficult, and even the death rate was the most terrifying, because it was enough to kill 40% of the people. In the past, many peak heroes had fallen in Dragon-Slaying Valley, resulting in very few people daring to go there. Similarly, once one broke through the Dragon-Slaying Valley, the points given would also be as huge as 3 million. When Su Yin cleared all the trials in the world of 10,000 laws, he had accumulated 1 million points. Back then, in order to stimulate the prodigies in the Heavens Cave to charge into the Dragon-Slaying Valley, he had increased his points. But even so, there were very few people who dared to try. Similarly, once they broke through, it indicated that their survival skills were superb. These people were like cockroaches that couldn't be killed. The one who had lasted the longest in the Dragon-Slaying Valley was Xiao Di. This trial was a test of survival time. It's up to him whether he goes or not. The Chaos Immortal Elder was silent for a while before he continued. Su Yin has accumulated a huge amount of points these days. If he can clear the Dragon-Slaying Valley, his accumulation will be amazing. At the same time, Chaos Immortal Elder was looking forward to Su Yin's adventure in the Abyssal Ocean. Back then, he had only spent a few breaths of time to break through the Sea of Purgatory, the number 1 mountain under the heavens. This showed that Su Yin's spiritual will was quite extraordinary, and even celestial kings found it extremely difficult to pass the Sea of Purgatory in the Immortal Cave. One could imagine how ridiculous the spiritual will test was. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been given 10 million points. Near the Heaven and Earth Cave, a large number of powerhouses were watching. This lunatic, it's only been a few months, and he has accumulated so many points. He really doesn't want others to live. Many disciples were envious, but they didn't know that these points couldn't satisfy Su Yin. The Heaven and Earth Cave was different from what Su Yin had expected. It was constantly under terrifying pressure. In the Heaven and Earth Cave, heaven and earth were merging. During this process, the sky bloomed with the light of the great Tao, and the pressure from the sky covered the body, originating from the judgment of the great Tao. Underground, it was like a place where gods and demons were born, and a destructive aura was constantly rising, attacking Su Yin's body. Su Yin seemed to be carrying the heavens, and for a short period of time, his aura was violent, and he could be called a peerless overlord with peerless courage. The Heaven and Earth Cave shook faintly, and it couldn't bear Su Yin's power and began to collapse in all directions. Boom! In an instant, the Heaven and Earth Cave burned fiercely, and it was shrinking at a very fast speed. It was like the world in one's palm, and it was about to shrink to an inch, crushing Su Yin's body. Heaven, earth, and man connection. Su Yin looked up to the sky and roared, and a vast energy rain sprinkled down from his body. In an instant, he completely changed, and his feet stepped on the wilderness, and his head was above the sky, looking down on the vast universe. Lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Su Yan's figure was huge, and he turned into a giant spirit of heaven and earth. His eyes were comparable to the sun, and his body was a giant pillar that propped up the universe. He split heaven and earth apart here, and his divine power was endless. Boom! Su Yan stepped on the universe, and he suppressed the vast territory, full of great divine power, sweeping across the 6 directions and looking down on everything. In the next moment, the sky above Su Yan's head and the whole world was shaking, and the universe scripture was blooming. Because he had comprehended the supreme mystery of the universe, the moment the universe scripture circulated, the top of his head gushed out mountains, rivers, and earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars, bearing the strongest great Tao. Heaven and earth rumbled fiercely. He seemed to have turned into the only war god between heaven and earth, dominating the world. The heaven and earth cave collapsed, and it couldn't suppress Su Yan at all. The divine power all over his body didn't stop for a long time, surging between heaven and earth, and its influence was far-reaching. He broke through. The people in the outside world were shocked, and the news spread like wildfire. A series of immortals and demons in the Immortal Elder Academy who were paying attention to Su Yan exclaimed, "Su Yan, heaven's equal Saint King, comparable to the Emperor Tao, a dragon among men, a peerless genius. In half a year, he broke through 5 great heavenly barriers. This child has a great chance of passing through Dragon-Slaying Valley. If his spiritual will is strong enough, he might be able to stand on the abyssal ocean's 30 heavenly barriers." The Immortal Elder Academy was in heated discussion. There was no way around it. The storm Su Yan stirred up these days was too fierce, and his passing speed could be said to be ridiculous. Now, he broke through the heaven and earth cave with his peerless strength, proving that Su Yan was a peerless genius. Daesung was comparable to the Emperor Tao. This was a supreme reputation, the recognition of the strongest. There was no need to say anything more. Fortunately, Su Yan participated in the great war of immortals and demons. Otherwise, our immortal world would have missed out on Su Yan. An immortal elder was very direct and exclaimed, "With Su Yan's potential, his future growth is unimaginable. He will enter the forbidden domain and become a peak existence among the immortal world's mainstays. In my opinion, we should prepare resources for Su Yan's subsequent realms in advance, and let Su Yan directly enter the Immortal Elder Academy when he breaks through," the Chaos Immortal Elder suggested. What do you all think of my suggestion? Since Su Yan doesn't plan to sleep in the Immortal Cave, then let's wait for the day he steps into the Emperor Tao domain and directly enter the Immortal Elder Academy. The people of the Xian people wanted to refute, but in the end, they couldn't say a single word. The Grand Immortal Elder had already spoken. What could they say? If they questioned Su Yan at this moment, it would be the same as going against the Grand Immortal Elder. One had to know that the Grand Immortal Elder was the head of the 10 great Immortal Elders. His authority was too terrifying. Even the Emperor race didn't want to provoke him easily. Seconded, a large number of Immortal Elders in the palace spoke. Only a few people remained silent, and their expressions were ugly. They could only watch as Su Yan came into contact with the core of the immortal world. In the future, he might even become an Immortal Elder. This was something they didn't want to see. Originally, the Xian people and the other forces were really plotting to kill Su Yan. In the end, his performance in the various stages was very outstanding, but not monstrous. If they wanted to kill Su Yan in the Immortal Cave, they had to pay the price in blood. Su Yan was still a little bit lacking. If Su Yan really had boundless potential like the princess and the others, they would definitely pay a huge price. The Xian people's young emperor was an example. Back then, he rose to power and won 3 out of 3 battles in the Immortal Devil battlefield. He was already an immortal king now. He only lacked an opportunity to reach the level of an emperor. How could the Xian people let an enemy have any hope of becoming an emperor? They would definitely kill him crazily. Su Yan was surprised. He had just left the Heaven and Earth Cave when he was taken away by the Chaos Immortal Elder. Usually, he would let Songwood do it. After all, He was the fifth Immortal Elder of the Immortal Elder Academy. Ever since the Thunder Immortal Elder was suppressed, the Chaos Immortal Elder's influence in the Immortal Elder Academy skyrocketed. Immortal Elder, are you asking me to join the Immortal Elder Academy? Su Yan was surprised. He really didn't think of this. Su Yan, you should think about it. The Chaos Immortal Elder said in a deep voice, once you enter the Immortal Elder Academy, you will directly come into contact with the core of the immortal world. As long as you accumulate enough prestige and battle achievements, you can become an Immortal Elder of the Immortal Elder Academy. At that time, you will have the influence to make decisions in the immortal world. Your footprints will be left in the history of the immortal world. The allure of a Chaos Immortal Elder was truly frightening. When he first came to the immortal world, he was still a nobody. Now, Su Yan was qualified to enter the Immortal Elder Academy, the strongest core organization in the immortal world. Chaos Immortal Elder, I came from the human world. Su Yan wanted to say something, but stopped. His meaning was clear. Would the immortal world allow a cultivator from the human world to come into contact with the core authority? You don't have to worry. The Chaos Immortal Elder said with a smile, victory in the immortal Devil Great War is enough to shut some people's mouths. Moreover, the human world era is too far away from now. This isn't a big problem. As long as you're strong enough, your prestige shocking enough. For example, Phoenix King, back then, she relied on her fists and monstrous battle achievements to win the position of King City's Tao Protector. Junior understands. Su Yan nodded. He had never thought about distant matters. The future situation would be the Dark World's attack. Could the human world defend? If he entered the Immortal Elder Academy and had enough authority, together with Phoenix King and the others, he believed that he could have a great influence. The Chaos Immortal Elder laughed heartily. He was looking forward to Su Yan's future growth. If he really entered the position of Immortal Elder Academy's Immortal Elder, with his prestige and battle strength, that would be incredible. Of course, the prerequisite for all of this was that he was strong enough. However, his goal was to win 3 battles in the Immortal Devil Great War and obtain the shortcut to Immortal King. Star Cave, Outer Courtyard. Birds chirped and flowers bloomed. Bao Kai and the others were in seclusion. This place seemed cold and cheerless. Su Yan's fluctuating mind gradually calmed down. He wouldn't be affected by any factors. The Immortal Devil Great War was about to begin. Su Yan didn't cultivate in seclusion, nor did he break through the Daesong 9 heavens. He felt that what was more important to him now was divine ability training. Heaven, earth, and man, the supreme dragon wrestling technique. During this period of time, Su Yan grasped it. He comprehended and pondered deeply. His future path of becoming a powerhouse gradually became clear, and he became more and more confident. The Immortal Cave also seemed cold and cheerless. The Immortal Devil Great War was about to begin. The Empress and the others were about to appear. There were still a few months left. He was really getting closer and closer. A month passed quickly. The experts of the Immortal Cave were looking forward to Su Yan breaking through Dragon Slaying Valley. Unfortunately, they didn't get their wish. He didn't step out. Some people felt that Su Yan had most likely given up. The chances of Dragon Slaying Valley falling were too high. On this day, 2 uninvited guests came to the Star Cave. A man and a woman came to fight. They used their palms and fists. There weren't many disturbances. Every strike was filled with the profundities of Taoism. It felt like they had reached the peak of perfection and transcended the world. Interesting. One of the men had a stocky build. He seemed to have come from the wilderness. He raised his hand and suppressed the Tiangang King, who was preventing him from stepping into the courtyard. His eyes, as dark as the abyss, stared at the sweeper in the courtyard. Russell, Su Yan carried the broom and cleaned the dust on the ground. It looked ordinary, but the moment he waved the broom in the man's eyes, he seemed to see streaks of bright axe light that split the sky, cut the earth, and collapsed the universe. The more he observed it, the more terrifying the sharpness contained within the broom became. It was like a magnificent army, like a divine army, and it possessed an absolutely supreme profundity and concept. It seemed to be ordinary, yet every single move of the broom was actually complicated from simplicity. Go on. You might not be able to suppress him, The woman who came together and fought all the way, and who was hibernating in the darkness, sneered. That's obvious. Watch how I break his technique. The stocky man walked over. His essence, chi, and spirit changed vaguely. It was as if he had turned into the dragon tiger heavenly lord. He walked with majestic steps and barged into the courtyard. Chapter 1958. The courtyard was filled with a murderous aura. It had been a month Su Yin had been wandering around the courtyard. It was hard to imagine that this ferocious person was cleaning the courtyard. At first, innate Dipper King thought that Su Yin was cultivating his mind, preparing to face the enemy in his peak state on the day of the Immortal and Devil War. But after observing for a while, he realized that Su Yin was practicing the mysterious inheritance. Once he stepped into the courtyard, innate Dipper King couldn't bear it anymore. The entire courtyard was filled with a sharp aura that was bone-chilling. The first time he fought with Su Yin, innate Dipper King felt that Su Yin's body was unparalleled. But now, innate Dipper King felt that Su Yin's Tao was unfathomable. A burly man stepped out from the darkness. His figure gradually became clear. He was like a dragon and tiger heavenly lord. His body was too strong. No matter how strong the sharp aura was, it couldn't threaten him. Skyforce King, it's definitely him. He's just like the legends. Innate Dipper King's expression changed. This was a legendary hero. No wonder he was suppressed by him. After all, he was the strongest young expert in the Immortal Cave. He was an invincible giant, known as the extreme realm of strength. This person walked the path of body cultivation. He was valued by the great immortal elders in the Immortal Elder Courtyard. It was said that even the great immortal elder thought highly of him. When the great immortal elder was in charge of the Immortal Cave, the princess and the others listened to the great immortal elder's teachings. But according to the legends, Skyforce King was the great immortal elder's disciple. He's here. Is he going to fight with Su Yin? In the courtyard, the sound of rustling could be heard. The broom kept swinging down. It looked ordinary, but in fact, Su Yin's every swing contained the mysteries of the heavens splitting three axes. After a month of silence and deduction, he had a new understanding of the heavens splitting three axes. Using the broom as an axe, he practiced it. It felt like returning to the origin. At this time, Su Yin felt a prehistoric beast in his mind. Its aura was ferocious and terrifying, causing the void to tremble. Skyforce King's aura changed. Two beasts, dragon and tiger, emerged behind him. They were fighting for hegemony. Their roars shook the mountains and rivers. Roar! The dragon and tiger soared through the sky, their ferocious might vast and mighty. They were like invincible giant beasts that had walked out from the primordial wilderness. Their bodies were hundreds of millions of feet long, and they were situated in the primordial wilderness of the universe as they looked down on the world. This was the Heavenly Force King's Tao and law. It was so condensed that it could only be described as shocking. It was like an old demon was erupting, exuding a vast dragon-tiger domain. It surged violently and suddenly broke through the murderous aura in the sky as it pressed down on Su Yin. Boom! Su Yin gently waved the broom. His body seemed ordinary, but in reality, it contained shocking, profound truths. The space and time behind him collapsed as an axe light slashed down from the sky. The roar of the dragon and tiger was like the roar of an unparalleled ferocious beast. It was filled with world-shaking heavenly energy, causing the Tiangang King, who was outside the courtyard, to tremble. He felt as if his body was about to explode and be destroyed. What a terrifying body. No, this is the profound truth of the human body. Su Yin said that once he comprehended it, he would have stepped onto the path of body cultivation. Skyforce King cried out in shock. The scene in his eyes was completely different. A dragon tiger, heavenly lord, was intimidating the entire universe. Every move he made was filled with an unparalleled power. The axe light landed and collided with the profound truth of the dragon and tiger. There was no energy in the process, nor was there a great storm. This was a battle of intents. It was not a physical contest, but it was equally shocking. Kill! The dragon and tiger roared and rushed into the sky. One after another, their bodies rapidly enlarged and filled the starry sky. They were about to become unparalleled ferocious beasts that were hundreds of millions of feet long. They danced in the sky as they surged over. Slash! Su Yan's eyes were wide open. The broom blazed with resplendent energy, revealing the profundities of splitting open the heavens. It was as if the heavens and eternity had collapsed. In an instant, the massive dragon and tiger figures were destroyed as if they had never existed. Good brat, you've broken my Tao. See how I suppress you. Sky Force King's back and waist were like that of a bear. His body was tall and sturdy. He suddenly took a step forward, his clothes flapping loudly. In that instant, he erupted with power. His figure merged with the massive dragon and tiger, as if he had truly become the overlord of the dragon and tiger. Moreover, his fleshy shell was blazing. It could be said that he had an indestructible golden body. His left and right hands formed the dragon-tiger seal, and as he pressed forward, he revealed a peerless domineering aura. Slash! Su Yan was completely awake. His palms were bright and blazing, and the broom was silently annihilated. In this short period of time, Su Yan was filled with the aura of a great grandmaster. He was no longer ethereal and elegant. He had transformed into a peerless war immortal. Su Yan's palms were dazzling and overflowing. It was as if they had turned into heaven-splitting axes. The instant they chopped forward, the blue dome of heaven silently split open. This was a peerless edge, enough to shatter all the saints in the sky. Boom! Su Yan's axe-like palms chopped down on the Sky Force King's fists. The heaven and earth exploded with a deafening boom. If this was not the starry void and its defensive power was exceptional, this entire region would have been completely annihilated. The golden body has been broken. Sky Force King's scalp went numb. He discovered that the Sky Force King's fists were dyed with blood. The dragon and tiger had been split apart. Could it be that Su Yan could suppress the Sky Force King? In the next moment, Sky Force King discovered that Su Yan's flesh palms were trembling slightly. There was a fist imprint at the center of his palms. He had also been injured. This made Su Yan particularly astonished. This person's strength was truly barbaric. Again, the Sky Force King's hair danced in the wind. His aura was even more powerful. His essence, energy, and spirit pierced through the universe as he walked over with a majestic gait. Each of his movements carried a great heavenly might. It was as if he was pushing the mountains and rivers of the universe. He was brimming with battle prowess that could sweep through everything. Su Yan rose from the ground. His golden body shone brilliantly, as if he was stepping on the corpses of kings. The aura he emitted was somewhat similar to the Sky Force King's. Sky Force King instantly understood. It was the supreme dragon wrestling technique. He had also been cultivating it these days. Under Su Yan's peak, he had already cultivated it to the second layer. However, both Su Yan and Heavenly Energy Net had grasped the third layer of the great profound changes. How can this be? I can't see anything. Tiangang King was somewhat stunned. Su Yan and Tianli King had started fighting, exchanging palm strikes and punches. It looked very ordinary, but Tiangang King could clearly sense the terrifying energy field between them. He was afraid that he would die if he touched it. However, Sky Force King could not see through the profoundness within. He was very anxious. He opened his heavenly eyes to observe continuously, but he could not see anything. Moreover, as he continued to observe, there was a terrifying impact that caused the Sky Force King to cough up blood. Even his consciousness was somewhat blurred. Sky Force King was incomparably vexed. This was a true clash between the peak, but he could not observe it. This was destined to be a great regret in his life. Su Yan and the Sky Force King had exchanged more than 100 moves. Each of their moves contained the profound mysteries of the extreme realm, and each of their moves was refined. Moreover, they did not intentionally circulate their own battle strength. Otherwise, this battle would not have been so calm. What's all this noise about? Big Goldie walked out. Seeing the Sky Force King, he immediately shouted, "Where did this brat come from? You have some skills. Come, let me give you some pointers." The Sky Force King almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He was in the middle of exchanging pointers with Su Yan. The more they fought, the more shocked he became. It had been a long time since he had met someone of the same generation who gave him an unfathomable feeling. Who would have thought that such a ruthless trash would appear and want to give him pointers? How dare you? Take my fist. The Sky Force King rushed over flustered and exasperated, swinging his bowl-shaped fist towards Big Goldie. Sky Force King shivered, mourning for the Sky Force King. Although he did not know who this person's background was, he had also been taught a lesson by Big Goldie these days. Boom! The Sky Force King brandished his dragon tiger fist. It had to be said that he was majestic and domineering. His fist was earth-shattering, containing the power to blow apart a Saint Realm expert. Ah! A blood-curdling scream reverberated. Big Goldie knew that this person was not to be trifled with, so he used a bit of his strength and smashed the Sky Force King into the ground, creating a human-shaped crater. Su Yan's face twitched. Seeing that the Sky Force King had only suffered superficial wounds, he shook his head. Not bad, little brat. You can take one of my attacks. Big Gold glanced at the Sky Power King's human-shaped crater and walked over to do it again. The Sky Force King suddenly became alert. He crawled up and said angrily, "You don't play by the rules. Bullying, too much of a bully." He did not expect Big Goldie to be such a big figure. He could not see through him at all. This made the Sky Force King's hair stand on end. Just what kind of background did this person have? When his fist landed on the Sky Force King's body, it was as if he had landed on Mount Eternal. You were clearly the one who attacked first, but you were sent flying with a single punch. Who's to blame? Outside the courtyard, a woman walked out from the darkness. Her figure was petite and exquisite, and her silver hair reached her waist. She looked like a pretty daughter of a humble family, but no one would treat her as a little girl. Her bright silver eyes were filled with a mysterious aura of time. She must have lived for a very long time. The woman's silver hair reached her waist, and her skin was sparkling and translucent. Su Yan could vaguely sense the faintly discernible aura of a true dragon. A true dragon. Heavenly Dragon Lady, your words are not sincere. If you have the ability, then go ahead. The Sky Force King shouted. Su Yan was shocked. So she was the Heavenly Dragon Lady. The Sky Force King was extremely excited. So fragrant, so fragrant. He felt as if the entire courtyard was glowing. The two unrivaled Ingjia of the Immortal Cave were gathered here. This place was too fragrant. Someone else has come. It's really lively. The Sky Force King was surprised. The person outside surprised him even more. He frowned and said, "Deacon Xianshun, what brings you here?" It was an old man with a dignified expression. The Sky Force King recognized him. Xian people had just been promoted to deacon not long ago. He was very prestigious in the Immortal Elder Courtyard, and his status was much higher than Xianzhe's in the past. Sky Force King, you're here too? Xianzhen's tone was arrogant. He looked at him and shook his head. The Sky Force King had already become Su Yan's follower and was not qualified for him to look at him seriously. Then, Xianzhen's gaze found Su Yan. His eyes were a little cold, but he still handed over a decree and said, "Su Yan, the young emperor has arrived at the imperial city and is holding a banquet. You are invited to attend." He raised the decree high, waiting for Su Yan to receive it. This was a decree from the young emperor, so it was needless to say how important it was. Only a few disciples in the Immortal Cave were qualified to receive an invitation. The Sky Force King had also received one, but he had abandoned himself to follow Su Yan, so naturally, he was not qualified to attend the banquet. Oh right, there's also Tai Bao Kai. Then, he took out another decree. Who's the young emperor? The Sky Force King scratched his head and said, "Young emperor? Is he an immortal emperor? There's a decree? What kind of banquet is this?" After all, Su Yan was just a daysong. A immortal emperor had no reason to invite Su Yan. Xianshun was furious. Who in the Immortal Cave did not know the young emperor's name? Similarly, Xianshun did not know the Sky Force King. Be it the Sky Force King or the Celestial Dragon Maiden, they had been sleeping in the Immortal Cave for too long. In their era, Xianshun had not been born yet. The Celestial Dragon Maiden looked on coldly. It was not strange that the Sky Force King did not know. Back then, when they were as famous as the young emperor, this person was not yet a young emperor. "Old man, are you glaring at me? Can't I even ask?" The Sky Force King was unhappy. Xianshun's old face was gloomy and ugly. The pale-faced man. The Celestial Dragon Maiden put her hands behind her back. She looked like a beautiful young lady. She replied, "Have you forgotten about the pale-faced man? The Sky Force King scratched his head, feeling a little dizzy. He said in surprise, "You mean that awesome king?" The Sky Force King was confused. He did not understand what they were talking about. What pale-faced man? What awesome king? However, he had more important things to do and did not have time to pay attention to these two strangers. He looked at Su Yin and said, "Su Yin, the invitation to the young emperor's banquet." Then, he waved the decree, signaling for Su Yin to come over. Although the younger generation of the Xian people had fought with each other before, who was the young emperor? He was the big brother of the Immortal Cave disciples. "Do you think I have nothing better to do?" Su Yin stood with his hands behind his back and invited the Sky Force King and the Celestial Dragon Maiden. "My two friends, please forgive my poor eyesight. Please come in. I was a little slow just now." The Sky Force King was delighted. He did not expect Su Yin to be so stubborn. He suddenly felt a sense of familiarity with this opponent. As the saying goes, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." Su Yin, you. The Sky Force King was furious. His eyes flashed and his aura was as cold as ice. After all, he was a deacon of the Immortal Elderly Institute and a Forbidden Realm expert. However, he was ignored by Su Yin. Did he know who the young emperor was? Once the invitation to the young emperor's banquet was issued, all the experts in the Immortal Cave who received the invitation would definitely attend. However, Su Yin did not find a suitable excuse. Instead, he directly said that he had nothing better to do. The Sky Force King began to doubt his life. One should know that this was the young emperor, an invincible giant who won 3 battles in the Great War of Immortals and Demons. He was extremely powerful and glorious. The value of his banquet was too shocking. At that time, the fairies, the core members of the great emperor clans, and the top figures of the Immortal Cave would all attend. Who would dare to not give face to the young emperor? "I have no relationship with the Xian people. I don't know who the young emperor is. Go back to where you came from." Su Yin invited the Sky Force King and the Celestial Dragon Maiden to take a seat. At the same time, he gave the Sky Force King and the Celestial Dragon Maiden a sideways glance and shouted, "If you dare to behave atrociously here, you'll have to bear the consequences." "Bastard, Su Yin, you're too presumptuous." The Sky Force King was angry. Knowing that Su Yan's identity was not to be underestimated, he did not act rudely just now. However, his face was now sullen. He scolded, "This is the young emperor's banquet. He is giving you face by inviting you. Let alone you, the Sky Force King, the Sky Force King, the Sky Force King, the Celestial Dragon Maiden." The Sky Force King became more and more agitated. With the young emperor's prestige, once the invitation was issued, it would definitely cause a stir in the Immortal Cave. It was the pinnacle event of the younger generation. Even the invincible geniuses of the Immortal Cave would make a grand appearance to congratulate the young emperor on his ascension to the Immortal King realm. After all, this was the first time the young emperor appeared in public after becoming an Immortal King. Chapter 1959. Why are you being so noisy? The Sky Force King was annoyed. He pointed at him and scolded. "Why are you being so noisy, kid? Who said the Sky Force King would attend?" "Kid?" Xian Chen's brain froze. This strange, stocky young man was calling him a kid? Is the Celestial King invincible? The Celestial Dragon Maiden sneered. What was the young emperor trying to do? Was he trying to show off his achievements by sending out invitations in the form of a decree? Moreover, gathering all the top talents of the Immortal Cave for a banquet was too high profile. If the great Immortal Elder was in charge, he would definitely reprimand the young emperor for being too high profile. The Immortal Cave was a gathering place for Ingjia, not a place for a hero to show off. He's just a fly, not worth mentioning. Invite him in. Why would Su Yin attend a banquet hosted by the Xian people? The Sky Force King and the Celestial Dragon Maiden were his guests. Xian Chen's expression was ugly. The young emperor was here and had called for a banquet. Many people had already approached him to get in through the back door. They were all looking forward to seeing the young emperor's glory. Anyone who received an invitation would agree and confirm the time and place repeatedly. He believed the Sky Force King would not refuse. But Su Yin refused directly? Moreover, he had never seen this man and woman before. How dare they disrespect him? This was too arrogant. The next moment, Xian Chen screamed. He did not know who had attacked him, but he was sent flying with a slap. He crashed into a distant mountain and almost crashed into someone's cave. Xian Chen growled in pain. His head was bleeding, and he was almost dead. You can't stop shouting. Big Goldie snorted. He had sent a mortal celestial flying with a single slap. After all these years, Big Goldie had grown moldy from idleness. He really wanted to exercise his muscles and bones. Brother Sue, you don't know. This king of bullshit is not a good person. The Sky Force King was full of resentment. He could not keep his mouth shut and had a loud personality. They used to be at the same level as the young emperor. However, the young emperor had a powerful background and often talked about how great the Xian people were, which sometimes annoyed the Sky Force King. Why would he mention this when they were of the same generation? Although the world respected the Emperor clan, the Heavenly King was unhappy that the young emperor had used this to raise his own status. The Sky Force King was biased against Xiao Di and gave him the nickname of Awesome King in private. However, there was no doubt about the young emperor's strength. Back then, he had won 3 out of 3 battles on the battlefield of immortals and demons. He had entered the Immortal King's fortune grounds and obtained heaven-defying opportunities. His path to becoming a powerful expert had been smooth sailing. Although the young emperor's strength was admirable, to the Sky Force King, they were not the same kind of people. Using his status, he always wanted to be their leader. 3 wins in 3 battles on the immortal demon battlefield. This young emperor is not simple, Su Yin said in a low voice. There is no doubt that he is powerful. The Sky Force Monarch didn't deny this point, and he said, if we were talking about life-saving trump cards, it would be hard to find anyone in the same generation who could surpass him. After all, the Xian people, Heaven race, and Reincarnation Monarch race are 3 monarch clans with ancient heritages. Moreover, the 3 the Arch clans possess the 3 heaven-opening scriptures, the heaven-opening the Arch scripture, the heaven-opening Reincarnation scripture, and the heaven-opening Immortal scripture. However, 3 wins in 3 battles requires a lot of luck, the Sky Force Monarch said with a dark face. Back then, the young emperor was lucky to be the last to participate in the competition. In the end, the strongest group of the Dark World fought to their deaths, and the young emperor was left to clean up the mess. Su Yin was speechless. When the time came, would he be lucky? Wow! Sister Heavenly Dragon Maiden, Little Mu Xian came, and the big-eyed beauty shouted excitedly. She also had a head of silver hair, and like Heavenly Dragon Maiden, her silver hair reached her waist. Su Yin felt strange, and he suspected that they had discussed their hairstyles beforehand. Little Mu Xian, a smile appeared on Heavenly Dragon Maiden's usually serious face. I see. Su Yin felt strange. Who was Phoenix King's sworn brother? Little Mu Xian had said before that she would give them a surprise. She said that Phoenix King's brother's personal disciple was also in the Immortal Cave, and now it seemed that it was Heavenly Dragon Maiden. Why didn't you come earlier? Mu Xian was a little unhappy and pouted. She had a good relationship with Heavenly Dragon Maiden. One must know that Heavenly Dragon Maiden was originally sealed in the same Dao cave as the Emperor's. After the last Immortal Fiend War, it was decided that Heavenly Dragon Maiden would be the next leader. Therefore, Heavenly Dragon Maiden's seal was not tight, and she could come out sometimes. The weakened period is too long. Heavenly Dragon Maiden shrugged. Heavenly Dragon Emperor had just passed the weakened period, and Phoenix Lady and the others should be soon too. Then, Heavenly Dragon Maiden snorted. Did anyone find trouble with you during this period? If so, tell me directly. She was a little domineering, like a big sister who cared for Mu Xian and would stand up for her at any time. Mu Xian giggled, and the resentment in her heart disappeared. She hugged Heavenly Dragon Maiden and whispered intimately. A dragon and a phoenix, their relationship was very close. They smiled and entered Mu Xian's room, as if they were going to talk for 3 days and 3 nights. As soon as Heavenly Dragon Maiden left, Heavenly Dragon Emperor's eyes were like golden lanterns, looking at Big Goldie, and he wretchedly wiped his saliva. Big Goldie was a little scared by his gaze, and his face darkened. Young man, Lord Golden doesn't like men. Stay away from me, go. Big Goldie felt that he was too bold and should restrain himself, and not be targeted by others. Losing his chastity would not make up for the loss. Heavenly Dragon Emperor's face almost collapsed, but he immediately put on a smile and pounced on Big Goldie's leg, wailing, "Lord Golden, you must help me." Big Goldie cried out in disgust, and this dog hugged his leg and touched it. What a scandal! Su Yin was shocked. What the hell was this? Su Yin, come quickly, he's taking off my clothes. Quickly, Big Goldie was frightened, and goosebumps appeared all over his body. His heart was filled with disgust, and he felt that his body had no strength. Su Yin's face was as if he had seen a ghost, and he quickly retreated. If he wanted to live, he had to stay away from Heavenly Dragon Emperor. Su Yin, quickly. Big Goldie's legs were a little weak. He had never seen such a scene before. It really is golden dipper material. Heavenly Dragon Emperor's eyes were blood red, and his face was filled with a wretched smile. His coarse hands touched Big Goldie's thigh as if he was caressing the skin of a woman and the robe he was wearing. This was golden dipper material, and he was too rich. Using golden dipper material to make robes, if this spread, even immortal kings would be jealous. Su Yin let out a sigh of relief. So Heavenly Dragon Emperor saw through Big Goldie's robe, and it seemed that he had misunderstood. After all, with Heavenly Dragon Emperor's status, how many men could he not have? They lined up and waited for him to choose. After all, he was the Heavenly Dragon Emperor, and his strength was boundless. Little bastard, Big Goldie glared. He sent Heavenly Dragon Emperor flying with a sleeve, and he actually dared to have designs on his treasured robe. Heavenly Dragon Emperor crawled up and said fervently, "Lord Golden, sell me a little. I'm willing to pay any price, even if it's my body." Scram! Big Goldie roared, and his voice was almost breaking. "Lord Golden, I'm serious. As long as you name a price, or use treasure materials of similar value to trade, I'll do it," Heavenly Dragon Emperor hurriedly said. The Heavenly Power King hurriedly said. Seeing Big Goldie glaring at him with a fiendish expression, it was as if there was no room for negotiation. Heavenly Dragon Emperor was anxious and said to Su Yin, "Brother Su, tell him that I need golden dipper material. After a long time, I've gathered more than 2 kilograms, and I'm just a little short. This is the best resource for me to break through to the Emperor Realm." Break through to the Emperor Realm? Su Yin was shocked and asked, "Brother Heavenly Dragon Emperor, can you break through and leave the Immortal Cave?" "Of course." Heavenly Dragon Emperor said anxiously, "I've been waiting for a long time, but golden dipper material is too rare. Some materials of heaven and earth are almost extinct, and I can't even find a few tails after many years." With Heavenly Dragon Emperor's potential, once he broke through, he would definitely have the best conditions to break through. Only then could he perfectly stimulate his foundation. He, Heavenly Dragon Emperor, had won enough times in the Immortal Demon Great War and had the qualifications to leave the Immortal Cave. If it wasn't for finding golden dipper material, he would probably be standing in a very shocking realm now. Su Yin looked at Big Goldie and saw that there was no room for negotiation. Heavenly Dragon Emperor was very anxious and took out a lot of good things, some of which were rare resources. This shocked Su Yin greatly. As expected of an invincible genius, his accumulation was really shocking. Ancient bronze immortal crystal. In the next moment, Su Yin's eyes flashed with a trace of fanaticism. He saw a fist-sized bronze immortal material, and it was sparkling and translucent. This was a treasure that Su Yin dreamed of, and he didn't expect Heavenly Dragon Emperor to have it. Su Yin also ran over and begged Big Goldie to give him some. Big Goldie was very irritated. He had always cared about his bearing. After all, he was the door god of Bury the Heavens, and he couldn't forget his etiquette. But when he thought of Su Yin's puppet, Big Goldie fell silent. The puppet had already been repaired, and if he smelted the ancient bronze immortal crystal, he would be able to forge a puppet that wasn't inferior to an immortal king realm expert in a few months. Forget it, forget it. Big Goldie shook his head and cut off a corner of his sleeve, handing it to Heavenly Dragon Emperor. Heavenly Dragon Emperor roared in excitement. After waiting for so long, he had finally gathered all of it. Once he finished participating in the Immortal Demon Great War, he would directly break through and step into the Emperor Realm. Big Goldie's face darkened. He hadn't been able to obtain any benefits. Heavenly Dragon Emperor was so excited that he couldn't speak. He gave Su Yin a bear hug, and then he stayed here for the next few days, sparring with Su Yin and exchanging experiences. Soon, Heavenly Dragon Maiden also joined their sparring camp. 3 days later, the resplendent Emperor's star emitted a vast energy fluctuation. "What's that?" Su Yin was surprised. He pushed open the door and walked out. He looked at the source area. It was as if a celestial origin cave had cracked open and a shocking figure appeared. The awakened divine power was unparalleled and also caused a huge change in the world. A vague but huge silhouette appeared. She was like a supreme empress that ruled over the world, looked down upon the world, and was invincible in the world. Princess. The immortal cave was in an uproar. The princess had come out of seclusion and passed the period of weakness. Unfortunately, this aura only appeared for a brief moment before vanishing without a trace. Many young experts who wanted to admire the princess's beauty sighed as they looked at the stars. Xianshun looked solemn, completely different from a few days ago when he was bleeding. The young emperor had calculated the time. Tomorrow was the day of the banquet. He walked over step by step as if he was on a pilgrimage. He respectfully took out an invitation made from the master material and handed it to the princess. When he heard that the princess would be attending the banquet, Xianshun felt as if he had been entrusted with a great task. Then he thought about it, and his face turned ugly. Su Yin was also noticed by the young emperor, but that kid didn't know how to appreciate favors and didn't come at all. However, the banquet would start tomorrow morning, and Su Yin was not worth mentioning. As soon as Xianshun left, Tianyang Bing came. Su Yin, Heaven Burial Avatar, bury the heavens, burial realm. In the supreme cave, the princess's figure was faintly discernible. She was beautiful, and every strand of her hair was golden. She was like a goddess of life born from the sun. She murmured, "I know. I'll go find him now." Chapter 1960. Inside the Imperial Star Supreme abode, the tides of life surged like the most powerful Tao cavern in the world. Tianyang Bing was envious. This type of abode was very important to him. Cultivating here could improve his strength in a short time. There were a dozen supreme abodes in the core of the immortal cavern. Their value was immeasurable. They were the most frightening symbol of wealth in the world of immortals. Any one of them was extremely rare in the imperial clans. The Celestials naturally had them as well, but they were not as rich as the immortal cavern. After all, the immortal cavern supreme abodes were always in operation. "We're going now." Tianyang Bing frowned. The young emperor's banquet would start tomorrow. It wasn't appropriate to go now. Besides, it was already dark. The Celestials valued the young emperor. They were well aware of his current achievements. The other clans also intended for the two to become Tao companions. This would be the most powerful story in the world of immortals. After all, the young emperor was now an immortal king, one of the future pillars of the immortal world. How could the Celestials not know? Is there a problem? The crown princess's figure was hazy. A peerless goddess walked out of the abode. In an instant, she became the focus of heaven and earth. Her snow-white body flowed with a layer of clear light, like the brilliance of a great emperor. It illuminated the universe, rivers, and mountains. She was like a sovereign descending upon the world. Tianyang Bing sensed a heavenly might that had existed since ancient times. It suddenly pressed down on him, making him feel like his body and mind were about to crack. He was a false immortal king, but the crown princess was giving him a bit of pressure. What was this? This was the supreme bloodline of the Celestials. Her aura leaked out as soon as she came out of seclusion. Behind her, the faint image of the celestial emperor overlooking the river of time appeared. The Celestials' crown princess had naturally cultivated the heaven-opening imperial scripture. She had a noble temperament, like a royal princess. She exuded a majestic aura that made it easy for people to overlook her beautiful face. After a long time of accumulation, in glory and legend, the crown princess had developed an invincible divine might. No one would underestimate the crown princess. No one would treat her as a daysong. After countless years of accumulation, the Tao cavern of the imperial star's origin had hibernated. Her accumulation was unfathomable. Once awakened, she could quickly embark on the path to immortal king. No problem. Tianyang Bing muttered to herself. Although she didn't know the crown princess's nature, how could the crown princess be inferior to the young emperor? He even thought that if Xiao Di was sincere, what harm was there in waiting? After all, this person had just come out of seclusion and had already invited the princess to a banquet tomorrow. Should she go or not? There was a hint of coercion. She was the princess of the Celestials. The Celestials were reluctant to marry her off, even if the other party was a young emperor. This matter had caused a great deal of controversy among the clans. The three Thearchs were the most ancient clans, and they would often form alliances through marriage. However, the marriages between the true core bloodline clansmen were very limited. Even if they did form an alliance through marriage, the princess would still be the princess. It was impossible for her to live among the Xian people. On the other hand, the empress had just come out of seclusion and personally went to look for Su Yan. This also showed the sincerity of the Tian clan, and it was possible that she could convince Su Yan. In the courtyard of the Star Void, as night fell, the entire courtyard was filled with the light of the Milky Way. No more, no more. Bao Cai's face was bruised and swollen. It had sparred with the Celestial Dragon Maiden and ended up being abused. The Celestial Dragon Maiden laughed. Her figure was petite and dainty, and her silver hair reached her waist. She looked very delicate, but in fact, her body contained endless terrifying power that made it difficult for Bao Cai's path of Beast God to suppress the Celestial Dragon Maiden. Bao Cai, you're only at the 7th level of Daesong. Work hard and your strength will definitely improve. Besides, Sister Celestial Dragon Maiden has been in the Saint Realm for so long. You still need to accumulate more. Mu Xian comforted, her big eyes bright and her smile sweet. The Celestial Dragon Maiden also said strangely, the path of Beast God is one of the strongest orthodoxies in the mortal realm. Its offensive power is unparalleled. Looking at the entire fairy cave, there are very few who can suppress you. Why not go to the great war of immortals and demons? Rel was not a problem. If Bao Cai's combat power erupted, the fairy cave would definitely focus on it and provide it with great resources to reach the peak of the Saint Realm in a short time. I'm afraid of death. Bao Cai bared its teeth. Su Yan didn't let it participate at all. It would be too dangerous in case they encountered a troublesome enemy. These days, Su Yan and East Demon often communicated. According to East Demon, the Dark World was coming with great momentum. This time, there would most likely be terrifying, peerless experts of the same generation participating. If Bao Cai was unlucky enough to encounter them, it wouldn't be a good thing. Therefore, one person from the mortal realm was enough. There was no need to take any risks. The Celestial Dragon Maiden was somewhat unconvinced. The benefits of the great war of immortals and demons are not small. You can go to a supreme abode to further your studies and also obtain a huge amount of points. Even if you and Su Yan aren't disciples of the fairy cave, you can still go to a supreme abode to cultivate once you win. How could Bao Cai not understand? The temptation was too great. However, they had the universal treasure liquid and already possessed the best resources. A supreme abode wasn't particularly important to them. Sister Celestial Dragon Maiden, how is my grandfather's matter? Speaking of his supreme abode, Mu Xian's face was full of expectation. During these days of communication, Mu Xian complained about her difficulties. She understood the Phoenix King's nature and wouldn't let her big brother come out of seclusion to speak for her. Celestial Dragon Maiden was different. Her influence in Fairy Cave was great, and Elder Xian could also speak for her. It shouldn't be a problem. Celestial Dragon Maiden said softly. Grandfather Phoenix King killed an immortal king back then and was also the King City's Tao protector. It won't be difficult for him to become an immortal elder. I've already used all my connections to recommend the Phoenix King. I believe the dust will settle soon. If the Phoenix King becomes an immortal elder, we can also hug his thigh. Bao Cai was excited. With the Phoenix King's status as an immortal elder, he could naturally cultivate in a supreme abode for a period of time. If he was nourished by the precious liquid refined from Cosmos Stone, then the Phoenix King had great hopes of returning to the peak. This was a great matter. Su Yan and the others were all looking forward to it. Celestial Dragon Maiden even promised that it would happen in a few days. Of course, there was another point. Thunder Immortal Elder was imprisoned in Underworld Ocean, making it easier for a mortal elder to discuss and make decisions. The Phoenix King would have less resistance. The number of immortal elders in a mortal elder academy was limited. Every one that went up was one less. Thunder Immortal Elder was imprisoned in Underworld Ocean, so there just happened to be an empty spot. According to Celestial Dragon Maiden's understanding, the various great powers had already begun to scheme in secret. However, with the Phoenix King's accomplishments and contributions, there wasn't much difficulty. Empress has left the mountain. Immortal Cave was in an uproar. Large amounts of young Ingia rushed out. Even the pearls of various clans in Immortal Cave were stirred up. This was a legend among legends. In reality, any appearance of the Heavenly Power King would trigger a huge commotion. This type of person's accomplishments were too glorious. This was especially true with the Immortal Devil Great War about to begin. It was even more shocking than some immortal kings. Heavens, Empress has gone. The crowd was shocked. Waves of shock surged in their hearts. Empress had gone to Su Yan's cave residence. Heavenly Tao King's face instantly darkened. Su Yan and Empress were equally famous in Celestial Dragon Realm. Empress most likely wanted to meet Su Yan, but there was no need for her to pay him a visit, right? Wouldn't it be fine if she just issued a decree for Su Yan to pay her a visit? How could this be? Empress has come to pay him a visit. Immortal Cave was in an uproar. Many men cried out in jealousy and wanted to kill someone. However, when they heard that it was Su Yan, they immediately became mute. This person had broken through 5 of the most powerful checkpoints in half a year. He was already a peak talent in Immortal Cave that no one dared to approach. I don't think so. Su Yan and Empress are equally famous in Celestial Dragon Realm. Empress will most likely be unhappy. Someone retorted, was that really the case? Some people smiled bitterly. They suddenly realized that Su Yan was already a famous peerless genius. He was no longer in the same realm as them. He had already reached the peak of Immortal Cave. A woman visiting in the middle of the night. This isn't good. Heavenly Tao King said irritably in his heart. Empress was a legendary woman, and now she was visiting Su Yan in the middle of the night. To be honest, he was really unhappy in his heart. In fact, Heavenly Tao King couldn't wait for Empress to visit him in the middle of the night. However, he only thought about it in his heart. He knew very well that he had no chance at all. Io, the big beauty, is here. In the courtyard, Empress's arrival broke the silence. Even though the night was dark, in this hazy place of the Starry River, Empress's appearance was peerless. She stole the light of heaven and earth, and all of it was reflected on her figure. Empress. Heavenly Dipper King almost couldn't breathe. His eyes were wide open, and he suddenly felt like a toad that ate swan meat. Empress stood in the courtyard, wearing a set of golden armor, hazy with the light of an ancient emperor. Muxian felt a little ashamed. This was the Empress of a generation. She was like the most brilliant pearl of the celestial world, emitting auspicious clouds. Her curvy, snow-white body, wearing the golden armor, was filled with an extremely vast emperor's might. Heavenly Dragon Maiden. Empress slightly nodded and said softly, "Long time no see. I didn't expect to meet you here." Heavenly Dragon Maiden's silver hair reached her waist, and her silver eyes were sparkling. She looked like a beautiful and cute young lady from a noble family. There was a slight difference between her and the Empress's might that reigned supreme in the world. Big beauty, why do I feel like your Heavenly Emperor armor is getting stronger and stronger? When will you lend it to me to wear? Heavenly Dragon Maiden whispered, not knowing why she came here. Balkai almost drooled. Heavenly Emperor armor? Legend has it that the founder of the celestial race was known as the Celestial Emperor of the celestial world. Legend has it that the celestial race had 3 supreme treasures, and the Heavenly Emperor armor was one of them. Who would have thought that the Empress of this race would wear it close to her body? This was her strongest, life-saving treasure. Even if an immortal king wanted to kill her, they wouldn't be able to do anything to her in a short period of time. Heavenly Dragon Maiden, the myriad dragon armor that your master gave you, is said to be covered with the dragon scales of an Emperor True Dragon. I also want to see it. Empress whispered. She was also acquainted with Heavenly Dragon Maiden. These two were among the top 10 unparalleled geniuses of the immortal world. They were the two heavens' proud daughters of heaven. Bao Kai almost spat out his saliva. His fiery eyes scanned Heavenly Dragon Maiden. He thought that when he was free, he would definitely observe her. At this moment, Bao Kai felt that he was too poor. Why did he feel that he had to take out Big Goldie and tie him to his belt to talk to them? If Big Goldie knew what Bao Kai was thinking at this moment, he would probably hang Bao Kai up and beat him for 3 days and 3 nights. In fact, people like Empress had the strongest means to protect themselves. After all, they were the top hunters of the dark world. If they didn't have such means to protect themselves, they would have died countless times already. How can a myriad dragon armor compare to the Heavenly Emperor armor? Heavenly Dragon Maiden snorted, "Big beauty, what are you doing here in the middle of the night? Be careful of the pale-faced man's wrath." Empress frowned slightly, then said lightly, "I'm here to look for Su Yin, the young overlord of the human world. I'm curious." Heavenly Dragon Maiden didn't believe her. She most likely had a request for coming here. The Heavenly King is here too. How lively. Empress's bright eyes noticed the Heavenly King with the back of a tiger and the waist of a bear. He and Su Yin were standing on a huge chessboard. The black and white chessboard was like a huge Taiji diagram that covered the sky, vaguely emitting a terrifying aura. Back then, the Heavenly King spent a total of 18 million points for the divine and demonic chessboard. I didn't expect him to use it as a battle platform. Empress stood in the middle of the courtyard, her black hair falling to her waist. Vaguely, her eyes reflected the huge changes of the black and white chessboard, which turned into an ancient battlefield. 2 armies faced each other, killing each other, roaring until the sun and moon were destroyed. 18 million? It seems that the most valuable immortal king weapon in the treasury is worth around 15 million. Bao Kai was dumbfounded. 18 million points for this broken chessboard? What the hell? No wonder the Heavenly King wanted to kill it just because it stole a few chess pieces. Big Goldie dug its ears. Cheap, too cheap. Big Goldie felt that this chessboard was worth around 30 million points. Big Goldie was a little impatient. Su Yin should go explore the abyssal ocean. At that time, he would accumulate more than 10 million points and get a great success immortal king weapon. Empress walked over, stepped onto the chessboard, and joined the battle. Chapter 1961. The celestial and demonic chessboard was an ancient treasure. A long time ago, this treasure fell into the Immortals' Cave's treasure steal, causing a group of peak heroes to covet it. However, the Heavenly Power King was one step ahead. He used up all his points and obtained the celestial and demonic chessboard. This was a celestial and demonic chessboard that was exchanged for 18 million points. Its value was extremely shocking. At present, the best immortal king weapons in the Immortals' Cave's treasure steal were worth more than 10 million points. However, the celestial and demonic chessboard was close to 20 million points. It was clear how valuable this treasure was. Legend had it that this chessboard was forged by a titled emperor. However, on the chessboard, there were 108 black pieces and 108 white pieces each. Each piece contained a monstrous killing intent, which was equivalent to an immortal king's mark. All the pieces would be resurrected and scattered, evolving into a shocking killing intent. This was also the treasure that the Heavenly Power King was proud of. Now, Su Yin and the Heavenly Power King stood on the chessboard, enduring the Immortal King's killing intent in this destructive space-time. Previously, the Heavenly Dipper King stood inside to watch the battle. In the end, he could not withstand it and his essence soul was injured, so he had to withdraw. The chessboard was terrifying. How could ordinary people withstand the Immortal King's killing intent? Even a forbidden expert would suffer great mental torture if they stayed inside for a long time. However, Su Yin and the Heavenly Power King were different. Both of them had extraordinary willpower and were invincible. They would not fear immortal kings. However, the celestial and demonic chessboard contained the Immortal King's killing intent. It was no small matter. After a long time, Su Yin and the Heavenly Power King both had splitting headaches. The two experts were locked in a fierce battle. Of course, this was not a battle of life and death. It was a contest of strength, Taoist techniques, the power of heaven and earth, and the profound meaning of the human body. It was difficult to tell who had the upper hand, and it had been several days. Awesome, awesome. Su Yin, you can go to the abyssal sea. There's a great chance of standing in the 32nd heaven. The heavenly power king raised his head and laughed. He was like a tiger overlord in this gray world. He stood proudly, filled with an invincible belief that could suppress an immortal king. Again, in an instant, Su Yan's figure appeared at the end of the horizon. For a short time, his aura went wild as he charged toward the heavenly power king. An intense collision, peak battle of the peak. Every strike was at the pinnacle of perfection. The instant the two great experts collided, they left behind afterimages in the air, filling the air with frightening power. In a short time, the entire area was shaking. Like the roar of an immortal king, the two powerhouses clashed over 100 times in a short period of time. World peak powers king's power, their strength. Their speed, their speed. Both of them had mastered the three abilities of heaven, earth, and man. Once God's celerity was activated, the sky would split open with every movement. Their speed was comparable to that of an outlawed expert. God, gods, kings, 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 king, kings, exploding God, kings, kings, king, kings, king. King, heavenly power king, kings, king, king. S kings, king, kings, king. Him's king, kings, 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 king. Was his king, kings, king, king, kings, king. Kings. God, king. King, kings. Boom. In an instant, the gray world of the battlefield shook violently. A figure descended from beyond the heavens, peerless and majestic. Like a golden princess, her aura was biting cold and domineering, as if she was the ruler of the divine and demonic chessboard. A pair of snow-white palms glowed, and Ali's vast source of power seemed to control the black and white chess pieces. As expected of the peerless princess, her left hand suppressing Su Yin, and her right hand suppressing the heavenly power king. The heavenly dipper king shouted excitedly. It was obvious that he had betrayed Su Yin and cheered for the princess, becoming Ali's supporter. The princess' performance was also quite domineering. She looked down on the divine and demonic chessboard, forcefully intervening in the battle between the two powers. The moment her left and right hands rose, her snow-white palms were vast and majestic, capable of suppressing the world. Princess, don't be so insolent. The heavenly power king's battle blood boiled, even more fiercely. His thick arms suddenly rose with boundless strength, about to shake the 9 heavens. Dragons and tigers roared behind him, and avatars filled the sky. He had the ferocious might of a peerless overlord. Boom! Su Yin crossed over, laughing loudly. His black hair danced wildly as he closed in on the princess. His palms formed a fist seal, and the heaven and earth resonated. The stars in the sky rumbled and trembled as his fist seal came crashing down. Even Mu Xin was stunned. The princess of a generation was peerless in the world. She was the leading expert of the immortal cave. To put it bluntly, the heavenly power king's reputation was slightly inferior. Now, Su Yin and the heavenly power king had erupted. The black pieces were roaring like dragons and tigers, while the white pieces were dancing like demons. If news of this pinnacle battle spread, it would definitely spread throughout the immortal cave and cause a huge commotion. Even if the princess had the peerless strength of the world, she still suffered a great blow at this moment. Her snow-white palms trembled slightly, and even her curvaceous body trembled. For a moment, she couldn't control the situation. Bully, big beauty, you're alone. Let me have a taste of your skills. The heavenly dragon princess came. Her silver hair reached her waist, and her fist contained monstrous strength. One had to know that this was a true dragon, and her ferocious aura was too strong. Even a simple punch was at the peak of perfection. Heavenly dragon princess, you're not being fair. The heavenly power king's face darkened. He originally wanted to join forces with Su Yin to suppress the princess, but the heavenly dragon princess directly joined in. Watch me. The heavenly dragon princess clenched her dragon fists, and her essence, energy, and spirit suddenly changed. Her strength of the same generation was unparalleled. Once the dragon fists exploded, the left and right fist seals burned at the same time. With a rumble, 2 silver dragons coiled above the fist seals. Take my punch, the heavenly dragon princess shouted. Her dragon fists exploded, containing unparalleled strength. In an instant, the immortal cave changed completely. Big Goldie moved, and the immortal cave chessboard spun. The huge chessboard covered the entire sky and filled the courtyard. The Tian Gang King couldn't take it anymore and sat at the edge of the chessboard to watch the battle. Bao Kai wanted to join in, but when he remembered that his realm was much lower, he immediately became mute. For pinnacle experts clashed. The immortal cave chessboard changed constantly, and the sun and moon sank. Energy surged wildly, shattering the universe. They fought until the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Ghosts cried and gods howled. What are they doing? The Tian Gang King was tongue-tied. The four experts clashed in a seemingly small space, but in reality, it was as if they were thousands of miles apart. Their essence, energy, and spirit leaked out, and Tao laws were released. They were invincible. The four experts were in a state of collision, palm against palm, fist against fist. In the dusky world, strong winds blew, and muffled thunder rumbled. The four experts pressed against each other, forming a terrifying energy vortex. From time to time, unparalleled strength would be activated, shaking the sky and crushing the saints. Su Yan's long black hair draped over his shoulders. He stood between the heavens and the earth, and his majestic appearance was awe-inspiring. His clothes fluttered in the wind, and an indescribable aura of invincibility rippled. His left and right hands formed fist seals, fighting against the princess and the heavenly dragon princess. The heavenly force king was the same. His dragon tiger heavenly power circulated, fighting against the two ladies. In short, the four pinnacle experts clashed, and the energy field formed continued to be terrifying and turbulent. In the immortal cave chessboard, it caused a frenzy of energy that swept across the sky and pressed down on the earth. It was vast and boundless. Roar! The heavenly force king roared. His body was covered by a huge divine tiger, and his strength was boundless. His golden body was indestructible. The heavenly dragon princess also unleashed her full power. A 30-meter-long silver dragon revolved around her body, and her dragon's might shook the heavens. When she went berserk, the entire world was filled with raging waves. How terrifying! The heavenly Dipper King was scared. The energy field of the four experts was getting stronger and stronger, and it was about to form a huge vortex. However, he realized that Su Yin and the princess were relatively quiet, but there was also a terrifying divine power leaking out. Rumble! The heavens and the earth could not bear it. The energy exploded, and the light was blinding. In an instant, the princess awakened. Like a fairy from the nine heavens, her snow-white body charged with millions of laws and orders like lightning. It was as if she was outlining a heavenly emperor who looked down on the world. Her aura was much stronger, containing the might to suppress the world. Big Goldie was shocked. This little girl was so abnormal. To be able to cultivate the heaven-opening Imperial Sutra to this level, one could see the purity of the celestial race's bloodline. In an instant, the heavenly dragon princess pulled the heavenly force king out to avoid the princess attack. Why are you pulling me? The heavenly force king was anxious. Such a great battle was rare, and he had to participate. I'm curious about Su Yan's peak strength, the heavenly dragon princess said in a low voice. The dark world has always said that we only rely on the old. If a powerful newcomer really stands out, let's see what they have to say. I hope Su Yin can hold on when the time comes. The heavenly force king agreed. The dark world's strength was undeniable. He hated the dark world to the bone. Too many of his best friends had fallen in the hands of the dark world. Suppress. The princess stretched out her hand, and the heaven and earth Dharma idol behind her chanted sutras. The supreme emperors might seem to be looking down on the 9 underworlds as it charged at Su Yin from all directions. At this moment, the human emperor's sutra and heaven-opening lightning sutra in Su Yan's body were somewhat out of control. He forcefully suppressed it. The human emperor's sutra could not be leaked, and the heaven-opening lightning sutra naturally could not be leaked. However, the princess's palm was boundlessly terrifying. It covered the sky, and when it pressed down, the boundless earth collapsed. Suppress. Su Yan's eyes widened, and killing intent shot out in all directions. He also shouted the word suppress. In an instant, he changed. His might suppressed the universe, and he was like the king of suppressing the heavens. He raised his hand, and the heaven-suppressing art was awakened. The majestic heaven and earth trembled and rumbled. In a short period of time, it was terrifying to the extreme within the domain. What kind of ability is this? I didn't see Su Yin use it in the battle just now. I've never seen this secret art before. It should be the heaven-burying cave's ultimate art, right? Heavenly Force King, you have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. The terror of the human world is undeniable. Don't tell me you have forgotten the Emperor of the Celestial Court who beat up the Xian people and the Reincarnation Emperor family? The Heavenly Force King was shocked. What he said was true. The ancient Celestial Emperors were too frightening, and they swept through the celestial world. Unfortunately, that was taboo history, and no one dared to talk about it. Hence, their understanding was limited. Su Yin instantly burned to the extreme. He spoke the profound meaning of the word suppress, and it suppressed the myriad Tao to the point of disintegration. It even resisted the vast power of the heaven-opening Emperor Sutra that filled the sky. Just as Su Yin and the princess were fighting, the Emperor's city was not calm at all. Bell tolls swept through the city, rumbling loudly. The experts of the older generation in the Emperor's city frowned. The young emperor had really made a name for himself. He could even ring the bell in the Emperor's city and announce it to the world. He was quite confident. This was just a banquet. However, these old antiques remembered that the young emperor had just come out of seclusion. They shook their heads and did not pay much attention to it. Strictly speaking, this was the first time the young emperor had come out of seclusion with such a big lineup ever, since he became an immortal king. In the Emperor's city, the Immortal King restaurant was filled with guests. They were all outstanding figures of the younger generation, and every one of them was filled with legends and legends. It's open. The Immortal King restaurant was in an uproar. One had to know that this was the most luxurious restaurant in the Emperor's city. Immortal kings would invite their friends to banquets all year round, and the scale was quite terrifying. Even a dish was shockingly large, and it was a shocking 500 kilograms of immortal sources. The young emperor had directly booked the entire place. It was said that he had spent millions of immortal sources. From this, one could see the scale and extravagance of the banquet. Some people felt that the young emperor was most likely going to enter the Immortal Elders Institute. Otherwise, he would not have spent so much. Why is the princess still not here? Xian Shun was a little anxious. On the list of invited guests, except for a few who did not come, the most important one was the princess. This was the most important task the young emperor had entrusted to him. Some people heard Xian Chen's muttering, and their eyes flashed strangely. According to their understanding, the princess had gone to the astral void and had not returned for a night. Chapter 1962. Inside the void, inside the divine demonic chessboard. Su Yan's figure was majestic and vast. Under the state of the sky suppressing technique, his body was as heavy as the abyss, containing 120% of the suppressive power. It swept through the space of the celestial devil chessboard, filled with supreme suppressive power. This scripture, a trace of shock flashed in Tai Baotsai's eyes. This was the legendary sky-opening imperial scripture, and Empress had cultivated it to a transcendent level. The moment this scripture rotated at a profound level, the world underwent a great change. It was as if all the spirits in the world were worshipping Empress. This scripture contained a demonic nature. Speaking of which, this was the first time Su Yin had seen the complete heaven-opening scripture. It was as if an ancient emperor had awoken from a long slumber. The Grand Tao's order filled the sky, so terrifying that even the dusky space-time trembled. In an instant, Su Yan's figure trembled, and the heaven-suppressing art seemed to have collapsed. After all, this was the first chapter of the Emperor's suppressing art. Although the heaven-suppressing art was peerlessly powerful, don't forget that it was only the beginning of the Emperor's suppressing art. In short, Su Yin had not grasped the Emperor's suppressing art. This peerless art was not something Daesung could comprehend. Perhaps when Su Yin reached the Emperor Tao in the future, it would be even more difficult to comprehend the Emperor's suppressing art. Su Yin is going to be suppressed? The Sky Force King's eyes widened. After all, this was the heaven-opening imperial scripture. Some people said that this was the strongest scripture among the 10 great heaven-opening scriptures. Thus, this scripture was basically the most invincible in the immortal world. Baotsai's eyes flashed with surprise. Was the heaven-opening imperial scripture in Su Yan's bracelet? If so, wouldn't they be rich? Finding a chance to suppress a great character of the celestial race might be able to open the bracelet's seal. Thinking of this, Bao Cai's heart could not take it anymore. Boom! The sky was filled with a rain of light containing a mysterious power. It was like a meteor shower, falling down together and about to drown Su Yan. Boom! Su Yan stepped into the sky, his clothes fluttering in the wind. Amidst the storm, his left and right hands simultaneously formed fist seals. His left hand blazed with a blazing light, while his right hand was pitch black like ink. The two fists represented the Great Yin and Great Yang Mother Scriptures. As the two supreme Mother Scriptures revolved, the heavens and earth trembled, as if the world was about to collapse. Great Yin and Great Yang. The heavenly power king was shocked. Su Yan was still hiding such a powerful trump card? Could it be that he could gather the power of Yin and Yang? Boom! In an instant, Su Yan rose from the ground. Two large fists shot out at the same time, shattering the sky and smashing into the order of the Great Tao. They vaguely plowed out two huge holes, indicating that they had destroyed the power of the heaven-opening Emperor Scripture. Although this scripture is powerful, the strongest scripture in the human realm should be the human sovereign scripture. The Empress spoke softly. She stood high up in the air. The heaven-opening imperial scripture's order laws gathered once more, forming a sky full of ripples. It was as if a peak emperor was howling, accompanied by an irresistible divine might. This was the Empress. She was extremely powerful and invincible under the heavens. Su Yan's expression was calm. He did not reply, refuse, or say anything. It was unknown whether he had grasped the situation or not. The Empress was exceptionally charming. She wore the golden heavenly emperor armor, and her curvaceous figure was covered in a hazy golden radiance. She was like a goddess of the sun, seizing the radiance of heaven and earth. She emitted an unimaginable divine might that caused one's heart to tremble. In the next moment, heaven and earth trembled violently. Divine light surged like a tide, causing the mountains and seas to roar and the galaxies to tremble. This was simply a power that could cleanse heaven and earth. The entire world lost its original order laws and was reduced to the energy of the heaven-opening imperial scripture. It was so vast that it could swallow the entire chessboard and suppress Su Yan together. Isn't this woman too powerful? Bao Cai was stunned. Originally, the heavenly power king and heavenly dragon lady were already stunning enough, but they were still a bit inferior to the Empress. This woman contained a terrifying might, as if she was the reincarnation of a heavenly emperor. In an instant, the earth trembled. Boundless order laws covered over and erupted violently. They also contained an unrivaled power that could destroy everything. This was the Emperor's conviction. Boom! All of a sudden, a loud explosion rang out. Su Yan, who had been standing upright on the ground, rose up from the ground. His enormous body erupted with treasures. In an instant, he emitted a source of power that caused all the saints in the sky to tremble. This was Daesong. It was as if the mortal emperor had been reborn. But this wasn't the mortal emperor scripture operating. In fact, it was a release of Su Yan's inner universe. His body actually reflected the mountains and rivers of the universe and the world of primordial desolation. It was as if a slumbering, invincible being was awakening. It was a completely different Tao and a completely different ultimate art. The Emperor's power originated from heaven and earth, while Su Yan's power originated from himself. The origin scripture was operating, and it contained the Great Yin and Great Yang. The impact caused the heaven and earth to split apart. Even the dome of heaven was being torn apart alive. Boom! Su Yan's big hand stretched out and slapped forward. Two layers of palm prints erupted. It was still the Great Yin and Great Yang. Suddenly, the sea of scriptures that filled the sky rumbled and swept out as if it was trembling. The three scriptures combined into one and evolved into the form of a universal scripture. Combined with the supreme mysteries that Su Yan had comprehended, Su Yan was extremely powerful at this moment. The heaven-opening Emperor Scripture's mysteries that were about to envelop his body were all scattered. They couldn't get close to Su Yan. Su Yan rose from the ground and stood in front of the Empress. The instant the two powerhouses looked at each other, the world became bright and dark. A terrifying domain was clashing. Fortunately, This was the celestial and demonic chessboard. Otherwise, who knew how big of a storm it would cause? The heavenly dragon maiden was shocked. Just how strong was Su Yin? After all, they weren't mortal enemies. There was no need to go all out. However, it was hard to tell who was stronger from the contest of scriptures just now. What scripture is this? The Empress was surprised. This wasn't the human emperor's scripture of a human world. She had seen it before, but the scripture that Su Yin grasped was unfamiliar. The celestial court scripture. Su Yin replied, "The heaven-opening emperor scripture is indeed extraordinary. You didn't use your full strength just now. Aren't you the same?" The Empress said softly. Her black hair danced in the wind. She was extremely charming and said, "This seems to be the path of body cultivators. Your corporeal body is very powerful and can break through the celestial dragon realm's strongest barrier." "Is that so?" Su Yin smiled. He didn't cultivate the initial scripture in all aspects. On the path of the powerhouse, he cultivated both the great yin and great yang. In the future, he still wanted to open up his own great path. However, his accumulation and stability were too far away. Now wasn't the time to think about this. "However, I am very interested in the human emperor scripture of the human world," the Empress said softly. There was rarely any expression on her beautiful face. "This scripture might not be suitable for me," Su Yin replied. "Are you kidding? You have a heaven-bearing physique." The Empress clearly didn't believe him. As the strongest physique in the human world, perhaps the human emperor scripture was more suitable? In fact, the Empress could sense that Su Yin didn't cultivate the human emperor scripture. His corporeal body's venerable foundation inheritance came from the initial scripture. "When I was alive, the human world didn't exist anymore." Su Yin shook his head and said, "I didn't get the inheritance either. What a pity." The Emperor sighed softly and continued, "The burial world left behind by the bury the heavens is the strongest emperor's repository, Tao, cave in the celestial world. You should go take a look. Maybe you have a chance to get it." Tai Baokai was surprised. Was the Empress here to test Su Yin? Back then, Tianyang Bing probably helped Su Yin to establish a good relationship. After all, the race's monarch powerhouse fell into the burial sea. However, more than 10 years ago, the race's monarch powerhouse died. After all, the celestial race would never forget the existence of a monarch. Now that the Empress was here, it was probably because of the race's monarch powerhouse. "Your Highness, you're scaring me." The Heavenly Force King laughed strangely. The Emperor's repository, Tao, cave attracted many monarch races to attack it. "Brother Su, you have to be careful." Su Yin laughed. "The Emperor's repository, Tao Cave, is where immortal kings fall. Won't I die if I go there?" At this moment, far away, Tianyang Bing, who was watching the star void, was a little anxious. She didn't know how long the meeting would last. After all, the young emperor's banquet had begun. That's right, the Immortal King Tower was now the most prestigious in the imperial city. There were many distinguished guests, and the young generation's elites were all smiling. Although they were usually arrogant, what kind of occasion was this? Not a single young man was an ordinary man. Nobles were everywhere, and there was a large number of peak elites in the Immortal Cave. Most of them were sitting in the seats outside the hall. As for inside the hall, anyone could feel the terrifying life aura. It was like an ancient dragon breathing, and the majesty it exuded shocked them. How strong was the young emperor? No one knew. Now that he had come out of seclusion to the imperial city, would he go to the Three Realms battlefield? There were hundreds of seats in the main hall of the Immortal King Tower. If any disciple of the Immortal Cave came here, they would be shocked. The Heavenly Eye King, the Immortal Lord, the Heavenly Lord King, the Heavenly Path King, a series of terrifying overlords were all here. Even the Tenrai of Beach was here, drinking without saying a word. It was the pinnacle of the younger generation's banquet. The young emperor's appeal was too strong. He had reached the Immortal King realm and was entertaining his old brothers. However, there was one less person on the main seat. There was only one young emperor, whose figure was slightly blurry. It wasn't clear, but it had a divine aura that deterred the ages. Tenrai of Beach, why aren't you saying anything? Aren't you too quiet? The young emperor chuckled. The Tenrai of Beach, who had drunk a lot, clenched his fists. Although he was replaced by Su Yin, This person's strength was self-evident. His eyes were like a lightning abyss, emitting an endless source of terror. After all, the Tenrai of Beach cultivated the heaven-opening thunder scripture. No one would underestimate him. The Heavenly Lord King and the others shook their heads. They already knew that the Thunder Immortal Elder was imprisoned in the Abyssal Ocean. It would be strange if the Tenrai of Beach was happy. Xian Shun, the young emperor whispered. Xian Shun, who was waiting outside the hall, hurried over and said respectfully, "Young emperor, what are your orders?" The young emperor looked at the Tenrai of Beach and said indifferently, "Let Su Yin in." Xian Shun was shocked. Why did the young emperor suddenly call out Su Yin? After all, Su Yin was not important in the main hall. Even if he came, he would be arranged in a corner. The Tenrai of Beach's eyes flashed with a bone-piercing coldness. He never thought that Su Yin could replace him. When he came out of seclusion and found out about this, everything would be over. He wished that he could go back in time and suppress Su Yin on that day without implicating the Thunder Immortal Elder. However, no one would have thought that this matter would provoke the great Immortal Elder. Tenrai of Beach, don't worry. I will take care of this matter for you. We are all family. The young emperor's words were like thunder, echoing in the main hall. The Heavenly Lord smiled inwardly. The words family directly excluded Su Yin. After all, he did not belong to the immortal realm. After all, with Su Yin's current achievements, he was also a candidate to participate in the great war of immortals and demons. Was it difficult to get a seat in the main hall? Of course not. Take care of this matter for me. The Tenrai of Beach frowned. He felt that the young emperor was too arrogant. Even without the Thunder Immortal Elder, they still had a lot of power in the Immortal's Cave. However, the Great Immortal Elder was still the Great Immortal Elder. Ever since they suppressed the Thunder Immortal Elder, they kept a low profile. The Immortal's Cave should coexist peacefully. In the end, the Immortal Realm is still a force to be reckoned with. The young emperor's words showed some dissatisfaction. The Great Immortal Elder should be fair. This matter is unfair to the Tenrai of Beach. Xian Shun, ask Su Yin to come to the main hall and propose a toast to the Tenrai of Beach. Then this matter will be over. In the main hall, some young men and women were surprised. They did not expect the young emperor to criticize the Great Immortal Elder. However, with the young emperor's status, he naturally did not care whether Su Yin was here or not. What he cared about was why the princess was not here yet. Jiutian Divine Emperor. Chapter 1963. The Tenrai of Beach's eyes flashed with anger. A toast was all it took? Was the young emperor meddling too much? He was furious, but he did not dare to do anything. The young emperor was no ordinary person. He was the most powerful person in the immortal world. He also knew that the Thunder Immortal Elder was imprisoned in the 33rd level of the Abyssal Ocean. Otherwise, the young emperor would not have described it so calmly. The reason was that the Thunder Immortal Elder had been imprisoned, which made the Heavenly Thunder King a toothless tiger. He had also lost the qualification to participate in the great war of immortals and demons. For a long time, he would be in the cold storage. Xian Shun, the young emperor frowned. Why was he still standing here? In this battle, the young emperor had come to the imperial city and held a banquet. A series of top talents from the immortal cave had come to attend. It was such a terrifying event that the younger generation fought to be the first to participate. Moreover, a large number of heroes had stayed outside the Immortal King Tower just to get acquainted. News had spread that the young emperor intended to visit the Immortal Elder Academy and take the position of Immortal Elder. With his battle record, it was not too much for him to become one of the 10 great Immortal Elders. The impact of this event was shocking. The future young emperor would have a lot of say in the immortal world. The great Immortal Elder was already old. He might even have a chance to replace him in the future. Xianxin shuddered and stammered. Young Emperor, Su Yin did not come. The main hall was in chaos. Did not come? What was going on? This was the young emperor's banquet. Inviting Su Yin was already beyond their expectations. But he did not come? The young emperor was the current immortal king. He was a peerless genius among the younger generation. His influence in the immortal world was too great. He was a legend in the glory of the immortal world. Perhaps one day, the young emperor would become the emperor of the Xian people. He was a giant at the top of the pyramid. Everyone could see the young emperor's power. Otherwise, it would not have caused such a huge commotion. The young emperor's hand that was holding the wine cup froze for a moment, but quickly returned to normal. No one could tell what the young emperor was thinking, but he was definitely unhappy. It was a little awkward just now. He had asked Su Yin to enter the main hall and offer a toast to the Tenrai of Beach as an apology. However, Su Yin did not come at all. This was a big mistake. Call him over. Xiaodi's tone was calm and unquestionable. Su Yin should give the Tenrai of Beach an explanation for destroying the harmony of the Immortal's Cave. After all, this is a battle between the younger generation. Although I'm already an immortal king, I'm still considered a young man, right? His humorous words made the top heroes in the main hall laugh. Even the Heavenly Eye Vision King, who was silent and taciturn with the Tenrai of Beach, laughed and said, "Young Emperor, you are now the leader of the younger generation. You care so much about the Immortal Cave. Are you going to join the Immortal Institute?" The Heavenly Eye Vision King was tall and wore a purple robe. His forehead flowed with purple divine light and emitted a terrifying wave of energy. He was the strongest of the younger generation of the Reincarnation Emperor family. He could compete with the princess and the others back then. Some people looked at the Heavenly Eye Vision King and felt strange. Who killed the Celestial Tyrant Emperor? In terms of unhappiness, the Heavenly Eye Vision King was even less pained than the Tenrai of Beach. He had just come out of seclusion when he heard the bad news. The Celestial Tyrant Emperor had fallen. This was a major event that shook the immortal world. The injury of the Reincarnation Emperor family. How shocking was the impact? After all, this was a great emperor. This was a taboo topic. Now that the commotion had died down, it would not be long before no one dared to mention it again. Why not? The young emperor's admission caused a stir in the main hall. A large number of Ingjia stood up to toast and congratulate him. With the young emperor's prestige and contributions on the battlefield of gods and demons, joining the Immortal Institute is nothing. I'll see you as one of the 10 great immortal elders. Of course, with the young emperor's identity and status, normal immortal elders are not worthy of his status. The hall was filled with congratulations. If the young emperor really became one of the 10 great immortal elders, it would be greatly beneficial to them. The Tenrai of Beak's expression turned ugly. The Thunder Immortal Elder was suppressed in the Sea of Purgatory. Could the young emperor be aiming for the Thunder Immortal Elder's position? The Heavenly Eye Vision King's expression suddenly turned cold. He said, "Su Yin replaced the Tenrai of Beak in the War of Gods and Demons. Although he is extremely powerful, he still broke the rules and challenged the authority of the Immortal Institute. A person from the lower world dares to show off in the Immortal's Cave. What a scandal!" The Heavenly Eye Vision King's expression turned completely cold. This made the Heavenly Tao King and the others nod in agreement. They felt that their resources were being taken by someone from the lower world. They were unhappy. "Young Emperor, you can't just ignore this." The Heavenly Eye Vision King stared at the young emperor coldly. The atmosphere in the main hall turned cold. Who didn't know that the Thunder Immortal Elder was punished by the Great Immortal Elder? What did the Heavenly Eye Vision King mean? Only a small number of people laughed coldly. The fall of the Celestial Tyrant Emperor was probably related to some old matters. Before the ancient Celestial Emperors went to the Dark World, they said that the Emperor of Samsara was not allowed to leave the mountain. One had to know that Su Yin and the Celestial Court were inextricably linked. Obviously, the Heavenly Eye Vision King was dissatisfied with the young emperor's words. What did he mean by apologize? The people of the Celestial Court had to be suppressed. If he was the great immortal elder, they would just beat him to death. I have my own thoughts on this matter. The young emperor frowned. The Xian people naturally wanted to suppress Su Yin as well. But now that it was related to his plan to enter the Immortal Institute, he would not provoke the great immortal elder. The Heavenly Eye Vision King snorted. The Celestial Court and the Emperor of Samsara had a blood feud. The series of events in the past were all caused by the Celestial Tyrant Emperor. But now that he had fallen, it was highly suspected that the Celestial Court had something to do with Su Yin. The Tenrai of Beach suddenly laughed coldly. "I saw the princess on the way here. She went to Su Yan's cultivation cave. Since the princess did not come, she most likely did not return for the night. These words were like a bolt of lightning that fiercely struck the main hall. All the saints trembled. This was a wave of anger that could not be suppressed. The young emperor was an immortal king after all. Just a little bit of his aura was enough to create a terrifying storm. The entire immortal king tower trembled slightly. Did not return for the night? Everyone in the hall was stunned. What was going on? The young emperor's banquet was huge and rare. He had spent millions of pounds of immortal source. The princess was the most important guest of this banquet. But the princess did not come. Instead, she went to Su Yin and did not return for the night. Then she went last night. The princess did not even come when the banquet started today. The heavenly Tao King's face was trembling. What was going on? He thought to himself, Tenrai of Beach, oh Tenrai of Beach. Even if you are unhappy, you don't have to say it so loudly, do you? You are putting the young emperor on the spot. Everyone knew that the young emperor was pursuing the princess. If it was any other day, no one would suspect that the princess had an affair with Su Yan. But now that the banquet started, the princess was in Su Yan's cave. This did not make sense. Xian Chun was troubled. He was covered in cold sweat. He vaguely caught the young emperor's cold gaze. This made Xian Chun feel wronged. He did not know about this at all. Su Yan, what is that? A handsome and noble man stood up. He was wearing a snow-white robe and had a gentle temperament. He was bathed in the holy light of the Great Path, but there was an irresistible power in his body. Immortal Master, this was no ordinary person. The Xian people had high hopes for him after the young emperor left the immortal cave. They hoped that he could compete with the princess and the others. Although he was not as famous as the princess, the Immortal Master was not inferior to any of the celestial kings. Immortal Master. In an instant, the martial way's heavenly might spread. It was as if a martial god had risen from the ground. He said coldly, Wait, it is not suitable for you to go. I will go. King Tianwu, the Xian people's young god of war in the immortal cave. He was powerful and one of the top talents who participated in the great war of immortals and demons. It is suitable. The gentle Immortal Master nodded. After all, he was invincible in his generation. It was not suitable for him to go. It was good that King Tianwu was there. He could represent the Xian people and compete with Su Yan. There will be a good show. The Immortal King Tower was in a heated discussion. King Tianwu's strength was undeniable. Under the Immortal Master's seal, King Tianwu could represent the top power of the Xian people's younger generation. They all knew that Su Yan had killed the top talents of the Xian people in the royal city and the human world. One had to know that Su Yan had yet to meet the strongest generation of the immortal race. Since King Tianwu had left the Immortal King Tower, it seemed that he had not simply invited him to attend the banquet. Immortal Cave, Imperial Star, Star Void. The celestial devil chessboard covered the entire courtyard. 4 top talents stood in the middle, ready to fight at any time. Whether it was the celestial dragon maiden or the celestial king, how could they not know about the emperor's repository Tao Cave? The princess came in the middle of the night. Was it also for the emperor's repository Tao Cave? After all, this race's title monarch had died in the burial realm a long time ago. The origin spirit lamp in this race had been extinguished. Although this monarch had survived and wanted to kill his way out with Su Yan's help, he did not succeed. Su Yan would not reveal that he had been to the emperor's repository Tao Cave. From the death of the celestial tyrant monarch, it was clear what being titled monarch meant to a race. This person's death was also related to Su Yan. Currently, his treasure bracelet was still sealed and hidden in Su Yan's body. The death rate of the burial realm is indeed shocking. The princess nodded slightly. Her curvaceous body was covered in a hazy golden light. The celestial emperor armor was no joke. Not only did it perfectly outline her figure, but also gave her a bottomless heavenly might. In the celestial devil chessboard, she was naturally unaffected. She said, Once, a title monarch of my race went there and never returned. What did you say? The celestial dragon maiden glared and asked, Big Beauty, are you telling the truth? How can I speak nonsense when it concerns my race's peerless expert? The princess frowned slightly. My race's title monarch was also nearing the end of his life. He was trapped in the burial realm and never returned after a long time. He must have died. The celestial force king was shocked. If even a monarch was trapped, then how strong was Bury the Heavens back then? No wonder the burial grotto, created by Bury the Heavens, could compete with the immortal grotto of the immortal world. Is the burial realm's seal unbreakable? Su Yin was also astonished. You really don't know? The princess felt that Su Yin was hiding something. You jest, princess. Su Yin shook his head. I was born in the celestial court. The human world is too far away from the celestial court's era, so my knowledge of the burial grotto is limited. With your burial heaven avatar, you might be able to go to the burial realm to obtain fortunes and opportunities. The princess' eyes were like limpid autumn waters, like a fairy from the nine heavens. She was exceptionally charming as she said softly, although the human world has been defeated, some inheritances will not be extinguished. Su Yin, when the time comes, if you really go explore, don't forget to call me, the Celestial Force King hurriedly said. The Celestial Dragon Maiden also said, Yes, Su Yin, when the time comes, you can't be inconsiderate. We're all good friends. Oh, right, Princess, you didn't come here to go to the burial realm with Su Yin, right? They echoed each other, making Su Yin seem less helpless. This was a matter of great importance. Even the princess had come, enough to represent the celestial race's will. It's a matter of great importance to the celestial race, so of course I want to go investigate. The princess suddenly sighed. A hint of sorrow flashed across her country-toppling face, making her look pitiful. She said, My race's invincible powerhouse has suddenly fallen. My race also wants to bring his bones back to the clan for a proper burial. I already know why you came, princess. If I say I don't want to go, no one will believe me. Su Yin muttered to himself for a moment before replying. The Phoenix King and the Celestial Monkey King also suggested that I go, but I'm worried that my strength is too low and I'll encounter a great disaster. In fact, I rejected the Immortal Grotto because it's convenient for me. In the future, when my cultivation reaches a higher level, I might find a time to explore the Emperor's Repository Dao Cave.